All right, back to work. Chicago Hockey Radio, Justin Lynch and Tassos Kirkos. Only one more sleep before the Four Nations final. But we have Hawks hockey to finally talk about. The Chicago Blackhawks have hit the ice for practice, and we have some bits and pieces and little bits of clips, and we got a lot of fun stuff to get into for today's show. A little bit of a back-to-back, we're feeling like the Hawks this weekend. Back-to-back shows. This is the first time we've done that, so I was thinking for a second that we'd have nothing to talk about, but we have plenty to get to. Gonna do the plugs. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It helps us out a lot. If you are an audio listener, you're wondering what YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is called Chicago Hockey Radio. If you are on YouTube right now and you don't listen to us, head over to Spotify, head over to Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star rating and review. It helps us out tremendously. And also follow us on Instagram at Chicago Hockey Radio. I woke up this morning, we had a ton of followers more on Instagram. So we're like 20.
We're almost at 1,000 now. Yeah.
Yeah, we're 20 away from 1,000. So please help us get there. It helps us help you. And, it means a lot for the growth of this show. We have a live show. I'm sure you guys are tired of me mentioning it. However, it is 2 weeks from today. Midwest Coast Brewing, myself, Justin, Lee, Raven, Tim Tebow, we're all going to be there. It's going to be super fun. It's at Midwest Coast Brewing here in the city. You guys can get there at 6 o'clock. The game against the Ottawa Senators starts at 6:30. We will be doing an in-person live stream. Raven's going to have his mic there, so we're going to do some fun stuff where you guys can come up to the mic and talk to us and talk to us and ask us some questions. We have the whole rooftop to ourselves, discounted drinks. You don't have to drink. They have snacks there too. It's not it's not a restaurant, so there's not a ton of food options there, but there are little snacks you can get too. So that is going to be a ton of fun 2 weeks from today. And I keep saying it because you guys keep RSVPing closer and closer to the date. We had 4 or 5 more people RSVP yesterday. So please continue to do so. The RSVP link is in the description of this episode and every episode we do from now until then. So keep in mind also me and Lee, although to be honest with you, so we're live streaming the game tomorrow. So the very popular sports podcast, Pardon My Take, they... Raven and Tim Tebow and I were watching a little bit of their episode this morning because they had Biz on, and they were asking for any local Chicago Canadians to email them and join their live stream for the game. So I actually shot them an email. And was just like, hey guys, it'd be cool to
hopefully they pick you.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, I will be wearing Chicago Hockey Radio. I will be wearing my CHR hat as well as a Team Canada jersey if they pick me to be they're looking for an honorary Canadian. So I threw my hat in the ring there, and if so, it'll be just Tim and Lee on the live stream tomorrow. So, but if not, obviously I will be in attendance helping the crew out. So, please join that. Don't join the PMT one. Join the Chicago Hockey Radio one, and tell your friends and everybody else to join that one too. But I may not be in attendance, but I think the chances are pretty slim. Although, how many Canadians do you think are in the city of Chicago? I think there's probably more than I think,
Yeah. I mean, Chicago's a massive city, man. There's people from everywhere. So yeah, I think their chances are pretty slim. It would be pretty funny though. We always make those Canadian asset jokes, and that really come to fruition if they picked you.
Yeah. No, that would be super funny. I think it would be cool. And I'd be pushing our agenda the whole time. So
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we got here. That's all the. All right, let's wrap up the show. No, I'm just saying.
Wish I could be there, man. It pisses me off that I can't be there for that championship live stream.
I know.
It's okay. We'll have plenty to look forward to over spring break for sure.
Yeah. We do have plenty over spring break. Talking with Holt today too, a little bit about the K-Wings game too. That's right. And yeah, we're going to be at the K-Wings game, the Kalamazoo Wings game of the East Coast Hockey League, mere 4 days before the in-person show too. So come to the in-person show. If you're in the Chicagoland area and you're a fan of ours, you've been listening to our stuff since the beginning, or if you're a new fan of the show, if you're a first-time listener or whatever, or just a recent new addition to the CHR Enjoyer crew, come out to the live show. It's going to be a ton of fun. The vibes, I think everybody's going to be thoroughly surprised when they get to Midwest Coast, just how nice the venue is. It's it's super cool. The fact that we were able to like get that was pretty unbelievable, actually. So
Yeah, why not? Why would you not want to go to this, man? Like just
yeah,
all the amenities and just like hang out with us, man, and watch some Hawks hockey, drinks.
like
What more could you want?
yeah,
Yeah.
we appreciate you guys like watching from home, but like when we have the opportunity to all get together, why
And meet
not?
up. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys get to meet each other, talk Hawks, get to ask us stuff in person too. It'll be fun. It'll be super cool. So the Blackhawks hit the ice yesterday, afternoon practice, which was kind of weird. It was like a 2:30, 3 o'clock
Yeah,
practice.
no, man, used to like 11, 12 o'clock. They only practice around when we record.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They normally do practice, and it was like
Yeah.
after we were done yesterday's show. So Blackhawks return to practice. There are some injury updates. There are some other stuff. Obviously, we have clips from Sorensen. I have clips from Foligno and Bedard as well. About the stretch run here, and also some Four Nations talk too. Hawks played 10 games in 17 days coming out of the break, which is
Whoa. Yeah, that's trial by fire right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's no rest for the weary for the Chicago Blackhawks, and kicking it off with a back-to-back Saturday Sunday is definitely a way to get the guys going again. I don't know.
Exactly. 2 weeks without Blackhawks hockey, and now it's like we'll get nothing but Blackhawks hockey. I'm sure we're all really amped up for that, right? Coming out this Four Nations break.
The truth is, I can't even think about it until after Thursday. Like
I know. I'm still focused on the championship tomorrow. Friday, we can start thinking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Although we will break down some stuff here.
Yeah.
You wrote down some of the injury stuff. Tavo's resting after the Four Nations.
Which I thought that was kind of funny because like he didn't even play in the Monday game, and like so like he needs like what 4 days of rest playing like less than 10 minutes a game in 2 games. I don't know. I mean, fair enough. I guess he probably just wants to get his lost vacation time in there, right?
Yeah, honestly. Louis Crevier is close to returning, and Jason Dickinson is out 2 to 3 more weeks. So, I just, I know we said this on the NHL hour of yesterday's show too when we were talking about lack of movement around the NHL. I'm just surprised that this is the same kind of group that played against the St. Louis Blues in that wild shootout game that, is returning to the ice for this one. I thought there'd be something different, man. I really did.
Yeah, not just for the Hawks, but like for everybody. There's been a couple minor trades, but like mostly like future consideration type stuff. There hasn't really been anything major that's dropped these past 2 weeks for anybody. Yeah.
No, not at all. I would like to see some. I'd like to see something different, man. Like, give us something different. Just change it up. And I know, if you're the Blackhawks, you have the benefit of, nobody's had to watch this team for the last 2 weeks. So, like there are people that are probably really excited. And look, we're excited to see the Hawks play again too. But
of course,
but
it's gonna be hard to adjust to it after watching this Four Nations games. So a whole different league.
Yeah. I just think that there is a sense of fatigue with the Hawks. I think,
Yes.
the fact that this is getting
Tiring.
it's getting tiring, especially us like doing this, but also just like I think for the average fan, watching the team and knowing that they're terrible and the washed veterans and everything we've kind of talked about, like there is a sense of fatigue, and I that's an organizational thing that I think you have to be like, hey, we're going to do something to spice it up. We're going to make a move. We're going to call up some players. We're going to, do something here. So I just, maybe the excuse is like, oh, well, you guys got 2 weeks off. So, don't mind, coming back to watch Pat Maroon and Craig Smith again,
Oh God. Yeah, no, it is a bit exhausting when you're watching and the same thing happens every time. But it's like, yeah, like I'm not really necessarily looking forward to this Hawks team returning, but I am looking forward to seeing the young guns like Bedsy and Nazar and guys like that. The Unks, though, I'm sick of them. I'm sick of the Unks, and hopefully some will be gone at the trade deadline. Yeah.
All right, let's get into some clips. Can we hear from the coach, Raven, Anders Sorensen, on what he wants to see improvement in going forward here?
In some areas that we've taken steps in, offensively, for example, want to keep improving there, obviously. Trying to cut down our D-zone time a little bit. And then overall, just, individually for guys to keep taking strides here, if it's the young guys or even some of the older guys, to kind of just keep progressing here. But those are probably, if you're looking at like tactically, those are probably the bigger things, or D-zone time, and then also just be able to create a little bit more off the rush. And
was that the end of the clip? Yeah. I just That didn't feel like the end of the clip, but it's okay. So yeah, I just, gotta, I don't know. Anders Sorensen's so hard to clip, man. Like he is just,
Yeah, there's nothing. He doesn't give you any sound bites or nothing.
Can we play that one again, honestly?
Yeah, give me 1 sec.
Well, I think in some areas that we've taken steps in, offensively, for example, want to keep improving there, obviously. Trying to cut down our D zone time a little bit. And then overall, just, individually for guys to keep taking strides here, if it's young guys or even some of the older guys to kind of just keep progressing here. But those are probably, if you're looking at like tactically, those are probably the bigger things, or D zone time, and then also just be able to create a little bit more off the rush. And being a head coach now.
Yeah. Cutting down on the D zone time makes sense. Like these are kind of like no duh kind of answers. As far as creating off the rush a little bit, like, yeah, you'd like to see the young guys that are able to sort of play with that pace, the Bedard and the Nazar. I will say Bedard doesn't like create a lot off the rush, like he's more of like a set up in the zone kind of scorer, right? Like,
yeah, yes and no. I do think a lot of his production does come off the rush, though. I think we've seen that especially under Sorensen. But I see what you're saying, though. I think if he was faster, you'd probably see more of those chances off the rush. But he's more of a slow the game type of down player, like Kaner was.
Yeah. But like that's not to say I don't think he doesn't have the ability to score off the rush.
Oh yeah.
Just, you also have to have the guys
to do it, the line mates. And he hasn't really had that, right? Say what you want about Bertuzzi. Like, he's not an off the rush player. He's a guy who park in front of the net and get those greasy goals. Like, he doesn't really have those speedy guys. I think when Nazar was playing with him, we saw it a little bit, but now that they've kind of been separated, we haven't really seen it as much. Yeah.
Yeah. Can we hear him talk about Frank Nazar too?
Continuing developing, obviously we all see the offense, but, play away from the puck, and also just the rigorous of playing in the NHL every day. If it's back-to-back games or if it's 3 and 4 nights, like it's a learning curve for those guys, and I think that's an area for him to understand that it's not just the games; it's how you manage yourself off the ice. It's how you manage if it's morning skates or not, and just taking care of. And I think that's a big part for a young player, to be consistent and finding that consistency. I think it's going to be really important for him, and he's done some really good things, and we want to keep progression, especially the play without the puck.
It's tough, honestly. Like, he hasn't spent the whole season in the NHL, which pros and cons to it. Benefit of hindsight, he probably should have been in the NHL the whole season, but there's really nothing you can do about it now, obviously. But there is like that jump, right, from that you see with a lot of the college guys, especially just because, major, junior, you're playing 72 games or whatever, 68 games. And in college, you're only playing like 40, right?
It's more like practices, right? And like tourneys, and like the games you play are like Fridays and Saturdays on the weekend.
Yeah. And you're not used to like, back-to-backs with travel and like those kinds of things. And, that's tough for any young player to adjust to. So I agree with that. The consistency thing, honestly, like Nazar, a lot of the time when I watch him, he's like their most consistent forward, at least when it comes to effort and when it comes to, the forecheck and I'm not saying he doesn't make like boneheaded decisions from time to time with the puck.
Yeah, as a young player to expect, he makes those mistakes, but it's like game to game, like you pretty much see the same thing pretty much every night from him in the game plan. Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Man, Sorensen's so tough to clip, though. I won't lie. That was like, the first minute of that presser, he's just like sitting there, and it's all like one-word answers, and I'm just like, man, I don't know how to clip this, dude. Like,
he's the complete opposite of Richardson, who would give you probably more than you needed, right? Yeah.
Yeah, words.
The duality there for sure. Yeah, exactly. You're saying a whole lot of nothing, right? He gets the point, to his credit, but sometimes though, you'd like to see a little more. Yeah.
Yep. What else do we have here? We do have this Bobby Hull story. We'll get to it a little later. I don't know. Let's hear some of these other clips. I guess we can just.
You got Betsy in there in the Four Nations.
Yeah, I do have Bedard. Let's hear from the captain first, just because Bedard is like more Four Nations talk. We could talk about the team a little bit more. Let's hear Foligno on the stretch after the break.
Yeah, and we tried to make it competitive today too. It was pretty fun. It's important that we find a way to hit the ground running here, right? And use this as a second season, so to speak, and find our game, find our consistency, and all the things we talked about from the beginning half of the year. And if we can do that, I think we're going to like how we feel about our game and ourselves, and can continue some of the play that we've had of late.
Yeah. It's super funny, right? Like, so when Sorensen was asked about Nazar, Nazar's played like 25 to 26, 27
I think
games.
26, yeah.
Something like that. And there's like 27 games left in the season. So for him, this is like the
Halfway point. Yeah.
halfway point of his NHL season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, it's not for Nick Foligno. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah, I mean, we're much past that point. Like, I think probably like the last quarter of the season.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they're talking about it like it's the second half. I'm like, guys, you have 25 games left.
We
Like,
are well past the second half. The second half came at the turn of the calendar year. Winter Classic, we saw that one. That was the second half of the season. We're a ways away from that at this point. I guess as Nick Foligno would say, we still got to find our identity.
Oh, I think I think he says, or no, that might be the Bedard one where he says it. But can we just hear Nick Foligno? Let's finish the last one on expectations.
Well, I just think consistency and the style of game. I mean, if you look at the way we've been playing of late, too, I mean, it's been a pretty exciting brand of hockey, honestly. And it's disappointing we didn't get that win in St. Louis, but we've had some really strong games where we've played hard, we've played excitable, and emotional hockey. And I think that's what we need. We need to have that to bring the consistency of every game now. You're knowing what you're getting from the Chicago Blackhawks. I've talked about that. We can't be the Jekyll and Hyde team of earlier in the year where one game we're playing really hard, the next game we kind of lay an egg, and that's the maturity of this group and the understanding and the mandate from Anders and the leadership group. And so if we can put that together, that's what I think is a good second half. It's not so much judging the wins and losses, but the brand of hockey that we're playing that'll honestly bring on the wins.
There it is again, judging the second half here. Dude, this isn't the second half. Anyways, I do like what he said, though, honestly, there, where it's like they've been a Jekyll and Hyde team. It's about the consistency. And, like you got to create this energy and this passion where fans know what they're getting, right? When they tune on the team. And honestly, like the first 50-something games of the year, I haven't felt that way. Like, you could get a really good performance from the Hawks one night. Like the Hawks have played some really good hockey games this season where they've gone in there. Like I think about that Nashville game before the break where yeah, I know Nashville was terrible, but the Hawks have the propensity to lose to terrible teams sometimes, and they went in there and they took care of business,
Completely dominated.
The
Being
game
there
they
for
won
that
against,
was special.
yeah, like the game they won against Vegas, right? Like that was a big win for them where it was like, man, they took it to that hockey team. And, then they put up performances sometimes where it's just like a total stinker. And achieving that sort of like, hey, even if we lose this hockey game, even if we're the less talented team on the ice, like we're going to give that effort that, is undeniable to the fans of the team, undeniable to the people watching that like we care and so should they. And we're trying to get better, even if we don't have the horses necessarily.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of like when I look at expectations for the rest of the season, like that's kind of what I want to see. I want to see more consistency, right? Less blowouts, less Jekyll and Hyde situations, right? I mean, in terms of win-losses, it is what it is at this stage of the season. I don't have much expectations there. We're way out of it at this stage. I'm not really thinking about the tank right there. There's only like really 3 teams that are close to us. I think just playing respectable hockey, seeing the young guns produce. What does give me hope for the rest of the season, if you look back to the last couple of years, the Hawks have tended to play their best hockey around this point of the season, coming out of like the All-Star break this year. It's a Four Nations break. Like last year, the month of March was a really good month for this team. I think they played like 500 hockey. For whatever reason, they do tend to actually finish these seasons off strong. So I think I do have some hope that they can do that, which would be nice for sure. Give us some hope going the next season and some momentum going the off season for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's do Bedard next. Can we do the second Bedard clip first? Bedard on the team goals for the rest of the season.
I think kind of really knocking down like our identity and sticking to that for whatever last 25 games or whatever it is. And I mean, obviously I'm not looking at next year, but if we have a really good stretch here in the last bit and you feel good about yourself, feel good about our group, and going into summer, going into next year, that's big. And obviously, like I said, not thinking about that, just thinking about every day, but, just building that identity and kind of sticking to that.
There's that word identity again.
Yeah, he's I guess that Nick Foligno influence is being had at him for sure.
I know he says he's not thinking about next season, but like he's totally thinking about next season.
Well, I mean, that tells you how this season's gone. Like it's a lost season if you're already thinking about next season. I mean, at this point, what else are you going to do during this break for sure? I'm sure he's definitely been thinking about it a lot during these games that have been weeks that haven't gone well for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I like if you have to say you're not thinking about next season, you definitely are a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not believing that for a second. I'm sure in his head he is.
Well, because it's like,
yeah.
like unless Kyle Davidson like shocks the world in, around the trade deadline, you know what I mean? And not only like remove some of the warts from this team as far as like slow veterans and you know what I'm saying? But like, I'm saying if he went out there and made like a deal, right? Like if you go out and you get Dylan Cousins, right? Or you go out and you get Elias Pettersson, even though, you might, I don't know about that one.
Yeah, I don't think I'm feeling that right now. Maybe like a month ago, but now the way he's been playing, even that Four Nations, like I don't think I'm interested in that guy.
I thought about this after our discussion yesterday. If the Hawks went and got Elias Pettersson, they would be paying over $20 million for Pettersson and Seth Jones.
Yeah, no. I mean, especially when I see that contract the way he's been playing. If this was like 2 years ago, Pettersson, I'd be all over it. And it's like, okay, he's a young player, could always find that form again. But it's like, dude, like his season's been so bad. It's like I don't even.
No, I know.
Bother. Yeah, no.
But what I'm saying is like unless Davidson does something seismic,
huge.
you know what I mean, to like really invigorate some life. And I don't like. Think he shouldn't. Like, I think he should go out there and do something. I've been saying this for months. Like, your job next season is going to be on the line unless you've somehow convinced the ownership group and the higher, like his bosses, unless he's convinced his bosses, hey, like I need more time with this, and they're eating it up. You know what I mean? Like if he's telling them right now, like, hey, we're going to be terrible next season again, and they're somehow okay with it, your job is going to be, if not like really tenuous, like you're going to be on the hot seat. Like the seat's going to start getting warmer here.
Oh, yeah, next season for sure. There is something to be said
yeah.
here too. Like, he can't just rest on his laurels and what he's done in the draft to build up the prospect pool. Not every GM who's done that has been around to see, the fruition of that pay off, right? If you look at the Hawks dynasty, like I think they had two GMs before they got to, Stan Bowman, unfortunately. I think Mike Smith and Dale Talon, and both of them made all these draft picks to kind of build that team up, but like were fired, of course, because the team wasn't achieving that success yet. And then obviously Stan Bowman would show up and ruin it. But that's another story. Point is, just because Davidson's done all this good work in the draft and all that, but it's like we still got to see a product in the now, like on the ice here. It's like if next season is like this, like I think that's it probably. I think the patience will probably start wearing thin, but we're not there yet, but we're getting there. I still have faith in the Kyle plan, as he would say.
Yeah, I think as long as Bedard, or as far as Bedard goes, like, man, wouldn't it be nice to like get him somebody to like feel good about his game and
it's
the
a
team
must.
and
It's a must. Like it's the biggest priority for me for this offseason. If you could do it now, if you could do it in the trade deadline now, sure. I'm not really expecting it. Like I think I like what you're saying. I'm not really out. My expectations are not there. I think we're obviously selling. We're not adding anything in this trade deadline, but I think the offseason, that's got to be the number one priority. After the coach and the draft, yada yada, it's got to be getting him that piece for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be more than one piece. It's got to be more than two pieces.
It's got to be like a major, not like Bertuzzi table, like actual big fishes here.
Yeah. All right, let's I mean, that's kind of all the Hawks stuff. Or no, we do have this Bobby Hull story. We can talk about this a little bit. It's not it is Hawks related. It's also sort of not Hawks related, obviously. Bobby Hull was an iconic member of the organization. He's a Hockey Hall of Famer, statue guy outside the United Center. So a study here, Hockey Hall of Famer, two-time Hart Trophy winner Bobby Hull was posthumously diagnosed with CTE. I guess they're saying it's the most prominent former NHLer affected by the debilitating brain disease, obviously caused by repeated blows to the head. The findings were announced today by the Concussion Legacy Foundation in conjunction with Hull's widow. What is her name? I just want to get it right. Deborah Hull. So let's see. This is the quote from Deborah. Seeing the pain and heartache suffered by his lifetime friend Stan Mikita's family, Bobby felt strongly no other family should have to endure CTE. He insisted on donating his brain, feeling as though it was his duty to help advance research to this agonizing disease. Yeah, I mean, this is just a tough story. I guess so Hull his family donated his brain to the Unite Brain Bank at Boston University CTE Center. So far, 18 of the 19 deceased former NHL players to donate their brains have been confirmed to have CTE. Other big names include Mikita, Bob Probert, Derek Bugard. But obviously, Brett Hall has the resume, like a resume that those guys don't even touch, really. So it's
one of the greatest of all time.
yeah. So it draws a bit more attention to it, right? I just didn't know, like, if you have any thoughts on this. So he was diagnosed with stage 2 CTE. Disease has 4 stages. Deborah Hall also said, quote, that Hall struggled with many of the cognitive symptoms of CTE, such as short-term memory loss and impaired judgment over the last 10 years of his life.
Yeah, it's sad to hear. It's sad to hear that both he and Mikita dealt with this. I got to meet Stan. I got to meet both of them. Like pretty much.
Oh wow!
Like it wasn't long before Mikita passed away a long time ago. I think Paul was 2 years ago. But I was a little kid. I did like a school project on Mikita, and like he asked me a question. It's like, did you get A+ on it? I'm like, hell yeah, I did. So no, definitely Hawks legends. Sad to hear, but again, with that era, it's not really surprising to hear it either. I mean, it's crazy to think these guys were playing with no helmets back in the day. The protection wasn't there. The game was, if anything, a hell of a lot more physical than it is today. So and nobody was thinking about concussions in that era too. So sad to hear, but also I think the game's made a lot of progress, and not just hockey. I think all sports have made a ton of progress in terms of battling concussions and CT and all that. So hopefully this can serve as a reminder there. Yeah.
I mean, if we're having a discussion about it, like, I know the equipment has gotten better. Like, there have been more advances in equipment, and obviously the game is a little bit less physical.
Yeah, not the Four Nations, but the normal. Yeah, no. Yeah.
But like, hockey's still a game where, like, I'm trying to think of how to explain this.
You still see concussions. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of concussions like go undiagnosed. And where hockey is football is obviously the other big example, but football, you get the CTE because like those boys, like it's like a car, like offensive linemen, like their job is described as like being in a car crash every single play, right? Hockey, it's like, you have the boards, you know what I mean? So you're slamming another human's body into a solid object. The boards and the glass have like a little wiggle to them, but like it's not a lot of wiggle, and I don't really know what else can be done. Like, I don't think we're going to see like an NHL equivalent of like the Guardian caps here that, players wear. Like, players aren't really that super physical in practice anyways, but I don't know really what to do here. Like, I don't know where the NHL goes from here, if there's things they can implement, unless you just want to take hitting out of hockey, which I'd argue that it's not.
Hell no, that is the game. That is the game. You take hitting. No, you can't do. There's always going to be risk. There's always going to be danger. It's just about minimizing it as much as you can. But you're never going to completely solve the problem. We're still learning about concussions too. I think a lot of it too is like the enforcers tend to be impacted by that the most when you're taking all those hits to the head with the fighting. But I'm not in the take fighting out of the game crowd. I think look at what fighting did in the Saturday game. That's all anybody could talk about, in terms of the Four Nations. So I think fighting is an important part of hockey as well. I think it's got to be a part of the game. I'm sure Mr. Don Cherry would agree with that. So, but you've seen less of it, and like the game is still physical, but it's not as physical. And the progress has been made. Point is, like, is it still an issue? Yes, but I think we're much better off now than other decades.
Yeah. I would agree. Even just like, like the early 2000s, I think the hybrid icing rule has probably helped a lot with the concussions. I remember like my early days of watching hockey. It seemed like it would be like at least once a week that like somebody would be going to like fight for a puck on an icing and they'd get run from behind into the boards, and then the NHL was finally like, okay, we're going to go to hybrid icing, and it curbed a lot of that. Like, you don't see really any of that anymore, but I remember that being like a really prevalent thing in the sport. I just like, maybe there's little rule changes here that aren't like coming to my mind right now that you could do to kind of limit the stuff. I think they're trying, like, the NHL is really trying to take headshots out of the game. Players are being like, anytime somebody gets like the chicken wing up and, gets a guy in the head, like, you're going to get a suspension now if you do that. They really threw the book at Ryan Hartman for that, like, non-hockey play, for like, God forbid, like, Tim Stützle had like a really serious head injury there, and maybe he did, and we just like don't even know about it, or he doesn't even know about it. Like, and you got to commend the NHL, and like you got to pick your spots, because like, how do I explain it? Like, at a certain point, like, it becomes not hockey. Like, if you take hitting out of hockey, it's not hockey anymore.
It's not. No, how do you want? Yeah, no, that's not even on the table for me. Yeah,
but I'm just saying it is on the table for some people. Like, that is certainly.
Yeah,
like,
and I think that's silly. Like, that's what. Go watch, I don't know, field hockey or something, or I don't know, create a floor hockey league or something, or go do the roller stuff. Like, this is ice hockey. Like, no, we're not taking hitting out of the game. That's ridiculous. Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I just I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a pretty interesting point here, and it's pretty sad that Bobby Hall, is now, like, this was years ago. You know what I mean? This was decades and decades ago. Like, there's
and we're just finding out about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And, there's been a lot of really, the Derek Bugard thing is really, tough. And, oh God, who was the somebody remind me in the chat who the Vancouver Rick Rippon. Rick Rippon was really tragic too. And yeah, it is a lot of the old, like, tough guys that are experiencing this, but it's not just them too.
No.
Like, it is guys who, there are skill players in the NHL right now who will be diagnosed with CTE. Right. And
and they build on each other, right? You take one, you get another headshot. It's like they build on each other, and there's really no coming back from that. Yeah. Like Lindros, one big example. Yeah.
So I just, I felt it would, I felt it good to, mention that. And you know what? The other thing I will say about the NHL and CTE is Gary Bettman is, like, that's probably one of my biggest gripes against him is, him refusing to acknowledge the link between hockey and repetitive blows to the head and CTE. Yeah. They are one of the last professional sports to not acknowledge CTE. They say they always say that we need more research. We need more research. It's like, no, like, this is pretty.
We have enough example by now where it's like it's a thing. Yeah.
Like one of the NHL's marketing points is like, hey, outside of football, we're the most physical sport out there. Like, you don't think that there's CTE here? Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways, right? If you're going to market the physical aspect of the game, you have to admit to something like that. Oh, by the way, this is a risk factor in that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I really like the new NHL PA executive director, Marty Walsh. He's really like a no nonsense individual. Like, he's going to get what he wants done on his agenda. He was really the first person at hockey's highest level to not only acknowledge CTE, but like say that there need to be steps forward taken to learning more about how to combat it. And, he formed the union's first ever CTE advisory committee, which is comprised of 10 players, has a plan to to have representatives from all 32 NHL teams. I think it's awesome, that there are, I just like, I know Gary's like getting a lot of like praise for this Four Nations tournament and stuff. I just, that's one thing that I have zero time for with Bettman and, some of his guys that like, this is real, this is legitimate. And, I don't know, like, think of it even just like somebody as incredible as Sidney Crosby, Sidney Crosby probably missed over 2 seasons.
Missed his prime. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and imagine what we would have gotten with, like,
Prime Crosby, yeah, dude.
Like, he would be he'd be the second ever 2,000 point scorer in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, he's still close to getting there. I mean, honestly, with 37 the way he's playing now, is it crazy to say he could still get the 2,000 points?
How far? Where is he at?
I think
honestly?
he's at like 1600. I want to say 1659. Don't quote me on that, but I know he's around that range. But yeah, like he missed, I think the 11 12, he played 22 games. I think 10 11 41 12 13. I think he missed time too. Like you look back at his prime seasons, like pretty much every year he's dealing with some sort of concussions, injuries. And like we're so lucky it hasn't really affected him like as much in the long term, and he's still the player he is. And he's not the only example. There've been plenty of star players have been, hit by stuff like that. Yeah.
So Sidney Crosby is 1,654 points
Close. Yeah.
in 1,327 games. Crazy.
Insane. He'd probably be like around, he'd probably be pretty close to 2000 right now. He might already be there. Yeah.
So I wonder, based off of his points per game, so he played 41 games in 10-11. He played 22 games in 11-12, and he played 36 in 12-13.
Yeah. Yeah. Missed a lot of time. I think he missed more games than he played.
So that's like 101, 82 minus 36. Oh boy. That's quick mental math on the fly.
56 or 46?
46. So he missed 147 games over 3 seasons.
Jesus.
At his current point per game pace, he probably would have had added about another 200 points to what he's got. 1,850. Yes. Like he'd
be close to Yager. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I just, the NHL is getting better. I'm not here to like slam on it. I just, do better, Gary. Like, do better.
Yeah, and it stopped taking credit for this Four Nations thing. Like this isn't something we could have been doing this past decade. If anything, it just pisses me off more. It's like it just shows us what we've been missing out on. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and honestly, dude, he's so lucky. Like, I know that it was never going to be the case, and I chirped Lee for having the take that, like, oh, I don't know how hard these guys are going to try. Like, that was always a really dumb take by him, and it was never going to be the case. Like, if you know anything about international hockey and international sports in general, but especially international hockey, like you get these guys at like the low levels of the world championships playing for like Bosnia and Herzegovina versus like, Thailand, right? And like those guys like put it all out on the line. Like anytime you get an opportunity to represent your nation, like they put
it means something
everything
more
on the line.
Yeah.
Everything. So I never really liked that take, but if those guys came out and
it was like all-star,
and it was like all-star, like we'd be equally criticizing the NHL just as much as we're praising them right now. You know what I
it
mean?
would have blown up in his face. I mean, all his talks about, he should be retiring soon. I'm sure those are probably heat up if this tournament failed, but thankfully it hasn't for him.
Yeah. No, like Gary really walked away from that one pretty lucky. All right.
Yeah.
That being said, that's a good transition to some Four Nations talk. Can we hear Connor Bedard on watching the Four Nations face off as a fan?
Yeah, it's been unreal. It's probably been the highest level of hockey ever played, and just getting to watch. I mean, that Canada game, first 10 seconds, there's 3 fights, and I think people were wondering how it would be, and it's been unbelievable to watch. So it's great for the game, and obviously playing for your country shows a lot of pride. So it's been fun to watch.
What's your appetite want to be in the Olympics?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you always want to play for your country, like I said. I mean, right now I'm just watching as a fan, and but I think if you ask anyone in the league, they'd want to be on the teams playing for their country, and but obviously right now I'm just kind of watching and seeing, you see little things how they play, and that helps, but really just watching as a fan.
Yep. The highest level of hockey ever played. Do you agree with that?
I mean, I think he's right. I mean, I think this is probably, if you look at USA and Canada stacked up, this is probably that you could argue this is the first time on Best and Best Hockey that USA's had just as good of a roster as Canada. So it's like hockey's only gotten better, as these years have gone along. So yeah, I would probably say that's like Saturday was probably like, and I think Thursday as well, especially considering, we'll have Makar back and, maybe Hughes.
Nope. Did we lose Justin? Uh-oh.
Probably not, but like that's probably going to be the best issue there. Well, Did you lose me there?
Yeah, we did lose you. Pick up your point again, though. Yeah.
Oh, God, stupid internet here. Yeah, I think Bedard has a point there. I think you look at USA and Canada like stacked up. This is probably the first time you could argue that USA's had just as good of a roster and players as Canada has had, and the game's only gotten better. So I think the Saturday game, especially tomorrow's game, some of these guys coming back, I think you argue is like the best game in terms of best competition that we see in terms of talent. So I think he has a point there, for sure. But also, I think I have another point to bring up. If I'm Bedard, I'm watching these games. You can't help but think he's watching these games with a little bit of a bittersweet feeling. I'm sure he's enjoying watching the games. I'm sure he's learning, taking stuff away. But you think it is the back of his mind, he's like, man, like I should fucking be there. Like I know Lee's like, oh, it's too physical. Oh, he's not ready for this style of play. And it's like, but you think Bedard's feeling that way. You think he's not like, man, like I hope this gives him a little bit of extra motivation, right? I always say to take it personally, right? That's my mantra. Take it personally. And take it personally. I hope this stretch run of this season here, like he just goes on absolute tear of like, I'm sure he wants to be there in 26 for the Olympics. Like this is just a trial run, right? I'm sure he still wants to be there. I think he still can. So if I'm Bedard, like I'm definitely using this as a little extra motivation for sure. Yeah.
So, I hate saying Lee's right ever because he rarely is, but I am gonna agree with that. Like, not saying that there aren't like guys on this team that if I were rebuilding this Canada team, I'd do it a little bit differently. Like, I really think Mark Scheifele should have been on this hockey team. I look at a guy like Sam Bennett and I'm like, yeah, I'd probably take Scheifele over Bennett, maybe even Scheifele over Jarvis, Scheifele over, and there's other guys too. Like, I know everybody's clamoring for Tom Wilson. Tom Wilson's stats are excellent this season in the NHL. Like, it's not just the physicality that he brings. Like, he's honestly one of the more well-rounded players on a top team in the National Hockey League right now too. I don't think Bedard is physical enough to participate in this. And I know I know you're like, oh, well, the skill, the IQ
he can move it to the wing too. Now like he's going to be playing center.
But it's not just that, like, look at Mitch Marner, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Mitch Marner, honestly, has been pretty invisible during this. And I've heard people really slam on Mitch Marner.
Score a game-winning goal.
But that in 3-on-3 hockey, you know what I mean? In 3-on-3 overtime, taking a pass from Sidney Crosby and taking a shot from the top of the circle that the goalie probably should have had. Like, I love Mitch Marner, dude. Like, I'm not, I just am saying that he's being exposed a little bit. Like, you got, demoted to the third line here. I don't think it's really a demotion. I just, like, he's not that kind of player, and I will say, like, Bedard's not at the level of Mitch Marner on the skill yet. Mitch Marner's a 100-point player in the NHL. Like, Connor Bedard isn't quite there yet. You know what I mean? So
he also plays with Austin Matthews, Nylander, and all those guys. But you're right.
Yeah, but like he plays better without those guys too. You know what I mean? Like, like Connor Bedard is still like cutting his teeth. He's 19 years old. I could see him taking like some really big hit, especially in that USA game. Like, I could see him getting run the absolute heck over with the puck on his stick. Like, just not having the time and space that he has with his game. And the other thing is too is like, I know we've chirped Biz a little bit for some of his takes here and stuff. But Biz does have a little bit of a point here. Like, it's not that like the things he's talking about with some of the deficiencies in Bedard's game are incorrect. You know what I mean? Like, yes, the reasons why those deficiencies are there, like, saying he needs to be sat and this and that, like, those things aren't true. You know what I mean? But to say that he's doing those little things correctly when he's not is also just not true. You know what I mean? Where like in a Hockey Canada event, the expectation is that those are like habitual in your game. You're not going to start playing the right way just because you are wearing the Team Canada sweater. So, you know what I mean? So I don't really agree that like Connor Bedard should be on the team. Like, I really, really don't. Like, there's other, like, honestly, dude, I'd put John Tavares on the team right now before Connor Bedard. Not because John Tavares is like a more skilled player right now than Connor Bedard, but like John Tavares is like, he's been doing this for over 10 years now, over 12 years now. Like, he knows the way that needs to be like, he knows the style that needs to be played, right? And I just think that Bedard isn't there yet. Like, he has a lot to learn, and I don't know that, that's why I'm calling for them to bring in high skilled veterans and not just like the young kids and the, like I don't think Elias Pettersson is going to teach Connor Bedard how to play the right way, but there are, I don't think Pat Maroon is teaching Connor Bedard the right way to play anyways, and that's why you got to nail the coach this year so that Bedard does have a chance at making the Olympic team next season. Because right now, like I wouldn't pencil him in, I'd pencil him in. I wouldn't write him in pen. The thing about the Olympics too is that you're going to have more roster spots because it's a double IHF tournament. You're going to be able to carry, I think it's like 14 forwards, 8 defensemen, and 3 goalies, so you're going to have multiple scratches at each position. And also double IHF, you dress 13 forwards, 7 defensemen for each game. It's not 12 and 6, it's 13 and 7, right? So, I'm just saying that there is a chance that, but Bedard has like ways to go here. Like this isn't a finished product yet, and I'm not saying you need to wait until he's a finished product either. It's just like, I don't know, man. Like Jonathan Toews was way more of a defensive stalwart, and he wasn't even like, Selke candidate by the
The
time
team
he
was
17.
also way better, though, to be fair. Yeah.
Yeah, but that just
And you don't think Bedard would
for.
You don't think Bedard would elevate his game to playing with line mates who are actually competent, have the skill level that keep up with him mentally and everything like that? You don't think that would help out his game as well?
I do, but I'm saying that like Hockey Canada then is playing a guessing game. Like, is this kid going to be able to play the way we need him to play, being surrounded by, what if he doesn't? You know what I mean? Not saying he won't, I just said I don't believe that to be the case, but to put your expectations on what ifs versus what you actually see is tough. You know what I mean? Like, what if, then they should put Macklin Celebrini on the team too. Like, they should put both guys on the team and they should put,
yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like, but you're not going to do that because, you're playing a what if game and Sam Bennett just won a Stanley Cup playing like a dog, so I get why those guys are on the team versus,
A lot of those guys have been passengers, though, like those Sam Bennett types. Like, besides the fight, these guys like that have kind of been ghosts out there. Like,
Yeah,
they're just
I
there
agree with
to
you.
fill these roles. And it's like, I don't know. Then I feel like you're just wasting roster spots. I mean, you're right. I think you are right. And that international game it's a much different game. The international style game is much different from the NHL. It's a whole different league, the physicality and all that. Like, it's just a different style of play. Would it suit Bedard at this stage of his career? Probably not. You're probably right. But, like, I don't know. Like, Patrick Kane was never a physical guy, and he was playing in tournaments like this at his age. So I think Bedard could get away with it. I'm sure he'd adjust his game too. Like, he is like, yes, they're deficiencies at the game, but I think he's a smarter player too that he gets credit for. Like, I don't think he'd be putting himself in those positions, like those dangerous spots of like, getting hit and stuff. I'm sure it'd be a factor, but I think he'd be smart enough to be able to avoid situations like that. But anyway, who knows? Yeah.
My only thought is like, like this isn't like your normal NHL game. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't an NHL game where, like, even against the best teams, Connor Bedard is better than a lot of the players in, like, the bottom 6 of a normal NHL team. You know what I mean? And even better than a lot of players in the top 6 of a normal NHL team, right? This is, like, the best of the best. So when Team USA is coming to hit you, it's Brady Tkachuk, it's Matthew Tkachuk, it's JT Miller, like, and it doesn't stop. You know what I mean? Like, it's wave after wave of these physical guys. You know what I mean? Like, the least physical guys you've got on the team are Austin Matthews and Jack Hughes. Everybody else is like Charlie McAvoy throwing the lumber and Jacob Slavin. He was not a big hitter, but like some of these guys that are just like really unafraid to throw the body here. That Connor Bedard is not used to seeing that. Like all of these guys. Now, what I will say about this is like the Kane and Toews thing, like the IIHF game is different than NHL. Like, this is an NHL international tournament. So they are reffing this like
they're kind of letting the boys play. Like IHF, they clamped down on more of the physicality and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
If
Yeah.
this were an IIHF event, which the Olympics,
We would not be seeing the 3 fights in 9 seconds or stuff like that.
all of those guys would have been suspended for the next game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, in the IIHF game, Connor Bedard can probably fit.
And we've seen it. Like in the international level, he even played the World Championships last year. He always steps. That's another thing. Like anytime he's wearing that Canadian sweater in his career, he's always stepped up. But like that's juniors and that's teenage. Like it doesn't mean to translate to a tournament like this because it's a different game, like you said.
Yeah,
You're right.
So
You're right. I'm just I always feel compelled to
No,
defend
no,
my
I
boy.
respect that.
Yeah.
I respect
Yeah.
that. I just like, there are other players to me that should have been on this team. Not just this isn't like the fact that Mark Scheifele isn't there is crazy to me. Like the guy's
In
third
the
in the
U.S.
NHL.
too. Yeah, U.S. and Canada have some weird snubs.
Yeah, the U.S. less so. The USA is just like some of the Rangers guys. I think frustrate all of us.
Yeah, and like I would have had Tage Thompson over really any of them besides like Al Miller. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. But like,
Yeah.
the Scheifele thing, the John Tavares thing, I would have taken him, and then the defenseman too. I know they were like kind of scrambling for guys. Like I think Mackenzie Weegar was already on vacation by the time they had to call up Tom Harley and stuff like that. But, Weegar probably should have been there instead of Doughty, and I know Doughty's a Hockey Canada guy, but I don't know, man. I just
He's kind of been pushed around out there. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Okay, well that's kind of all the Hawks talk we got. Let's do some Four Nation stuff. Okay. So no, you did have one Hawks thing here. Hawks the season tickets.
I think it's important to bring this up. Yeah, you're talking about the prospect part, right?
No, I was talking about the season ticket part.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Yeah, season tickets, the renewal started yesterday. Around the same. I think it was around like 1% to 2% average increase per renewal. So I just thought it was, maybe something to bring up there. I mean, I think with the way this team's played this season, they couldn't really justify raising the prices too much. So it's pretty much the same. So yeah, that's all I got there for that. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we are not getting paid by the Blackhawks to promo their season ticket sales. No.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, we're not. Yeah.
No free ads. Nope.
No free ads. Yeah. One more Hawks thing though before we get to Four Nations though, because I do think it's important for me to mention this because I know I've been on the Higgins train for much of the show. No, I'm not on the Schaefer train. I know Lee. I know he's probably like perking up here watching this now. But I think Michael Misa. That's my guy now. I think when we're watching him and what he's been doing his production, I think he's the first OHL like draft eligible player to like record like 50 goal a game pace like in less than 50 games since Patrick Kane did it with the London Knights. And look at what he's doing. I think he has 106 points now. This is also a guy it's easy to forget. He was a what's the word for exceptional status? That's right. And he has a very high ceiling, can play center wing, good size too, 6 foot. Higgins is a little smaller. So yeah, I think I'm still on the draft a forward train, but I think Misa is past Higgins for me in terms of my top guy for the Hawks in this draft. I just wanted to mention that because I know I think it's important to every time we have changes in thought to bring him up. So yeah.
Oh God, I'm reading this chat right now. Thomas, you're a funny guy. It's nice hearing somebody talk about Canada roster, not hearing Lee scream cope.
Yeah, no, I mean they're fair points. I mean. But like again, these if things, I don't want to hear them. Regardless of whoever wins tomorrow, I don't want to hear it on either side. It's like that for me. Yeah. I don't want to see the excuses. And honestly, a part of me, we'll get to this discussion later, but it's like a part of me almost doesn't want Quinn Hughes to play because like that's all they'll be able to bring up. If we win that game, that's all they're going to mention. Oh, they cheated. Oh, he shouldn't have been there. Yada yada. Which he probably won't be there, but we'll still see if you hear a mysterious disappearance in the next 24 hours or so. But while I want to see him play, another part of me is like, I don't want any asterisks on this game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure Lee would have probably not agree with me there, but yeah.
So a tweet from Pierre LeBrun about Quinn Hughes just before, and then we're gonna. Then I want to talk about Kevin Durant, and then we'll hit a break and do more Four Nations talk on the other side.
KD, hell yeah.
So Pierre LeBrun. Team USA head coach Mike Sullivan says Quinn Hughes is not on his way to Boston at the moment, but that GM Bulgarian is still working through it. So still TBD. Yeah, Quinn Hughes, we were talking about this yesterday, and then Quinn Hughes then went out on the ice at Vancouver Canucks practice yesterday.
Yeah, interesting.
He was wearing a non-contact sweater too. I think a lot of the practices yesterday around the NHL were very much, Sorensen said it. I didn't clip it, obviously, but he was just,
just shaking off the rust.
Shaking off the rust, like get back to work. Like it's not like, we're trying to raise the physicality here in the first practice back after a week and a half. But, Quinn Hughes was in fact not on his way to Boston yesterday. He was in Vancouver for practice. And I guess, so there were I do have another quote here that I can read about it, but basically was just saying that like, he didn't want to go to Boston to not play on Thursday, he only really wanted to go if he was going to play. And here, hold on, let me find this. Yeah, apparently. Oh, another tweet from Pierre LeBrun. Team Canada has no issue with Quinn Hughes joining Team USA, but the NHL again today says that it's status quo as far as Hughes not being able to play unless there is an injury or illness to another Team USA defenseman. It seems a little weird that it couldn't be like a forward if they're playing shorthanded.
Well, they said it has to be a defenseman now. Is that what they're saying? Yeah.
I guess.
Huh.
That's
That doesn't really make any sense.
That's from Pierre LeBrun, though. That's not from the NHL.
What if they want to do 11 forwards and defensemen? I don't think they would, but it's like, what if?
What if they want?
That's odd.
I don't know why you
Again,
wouldn't.
it does bring this up again. It does feel like at times, I know they're not doing it, but at times it does feel like it's just like they're just changing it on the fly here. I don't know. That's what it feels like at times.
And then this is a quote from Quinn Hughes. I'm close with a lot of those USA guys and proud of how they've been playing. The 6 defensemen that have been there, they've gotten us to the point where we're in a championship game now, and those guys also deserve to play. So, like that's an NHL captain right there. Like that's an NHL captain. So
it's just
respect.
for the US though. Like it is like it does make the McAvoy loss a hell of a lot bigger if he's not able to play, right? That's a huge absence of the blue line there. So I think for Hughes, it'd be nice if he could step in here, but we still got a little over 24 hours to hear from. I don't know, maybe somebody gets food poisoning over there. We'll see.
Okay, so not to this is like kind of different, and maybe I honestly kind of wanted to like lead the show off with this today, but there was just like Hawk stuff for the first time in a week and a half, so I figured we would do that first. But I really kind of wanted to lead the show off with this. So this Kevin Durant stuff, and we're gonna do all we have a whole another hour really to do Four Nations Face Off talk. So we will do that, and then obviously we have Friday's show to recap it. And there's a live stream tomorrow, whatever. So Kevin Durant on Twitter, first of all, just like one of the most notorious NBA guys on the NBA Twitter guy, just when you think of athletes that are on Twitter that should probably lay off the Twitter a little bit.
It's KD.
Yeah. This guy is the burner accounts and I just, it's super goofy. I think it's hilarious. But so I want to read this tweet. Okay. I mean, this is so Dr. Joaquin Acosta, this was the original tweet that got his attention. It's a long one, so stick with us, everybody. My genuine question to you, KD, as a key man in the arena, what solution do you propose to fix this? The NBA gives you all the freedom, on top of millions, to play where and when you want and control the entire narrative, perhaps a little too much. Superstars, the players who actually sell jerseys, tickets, and end up on the cereal boxes, the heroes of today, chase rings, follow the money, and hop onto the next super team. Respect to Giannis Antetokounmpo for not diluting the product in that way. Most superstars have no loyalty to the city and take every other night off. What kind of product is that, KD? LOL. In my opinion, it's LeBron's fault for setting that precedent, which you followed and actually found success hopping around, unlike him. So in short, did Adam Silver let LeBron run the NBA into the ground by letting him turn basketball into Tinkerball? I'd say yes. Then yeah, top NBA analysts being Stephen A. and Kendrick Perkins is a big time yawn too. Jank. So
I think Lee would have aneurysm if he heard this. I know he's a big LeBron glazer, but I would tend to agree. I feel like it's made the NBA a lot softer too, and the culture too is different there. Less loyalty to teams and etc. I feel like it's more about chasing the bag than loving the game there, which is why I don't see the passion there like what you're seeing in this Four Nations tournament.
So then the response to that tweet from Kevin Durant is this. For the betterment of your mental health and just overall well-being, just don't watch the NBA. Hockey is right there, and they play with that aggression that you may like. They also rarely get traded or go to new teams in free agency, so the loyalty aspect is there. Hope that helps.
Hell yeah, KD. No Blackhawks GM, KD, Kevin Durant. Big hockey guy over there. Love to hear it. That's unexpected though. That was so random when I saw that on my feed. We'll take it. I will take all the free ads we can get. I think somebody like KD saying, I'm sure he'll draw over some of those basketball crowd for sure. We've been seeing a lot of that. The amount of people I'm seeing getting into hockey this past week who've never really been into the game, just seeing the laws of this Four Nations. It must be something to be said for that. Yeah.
I hope people just aren't doing it for clicks. You know what I mean? Because hockey fans, honestly, hockey fans are super passionate. Hockey fans are also notoriously online. I know all sports fans are too, but the hockey,
And it's constant.
Yeah.
It's year round, not like one event for buzz. Like hopefully these people are here to stay.
Yeah, exactly. Like I hope
Yeah.
like I see different like sports podcasts that aren't hockey podcasts like talking about hockey, and it's like I hope you're not doing it just so like our fans click on your stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a
'Cause
lot
I
of
don't
big
wanna-
pages and X too, and like social media and stuff like that that never post about hockey or posting about it. I want to see you guys come playoff time. Yeah.
Yeah. So then KD like starts replying to like other people,
Oh, boy.
on Twitter.
I love when the NBA start doing this too. Normally, like guys who do that in sports would be like, I don't know, the plugs, not your star players.
So I have a
It's
take
funny.
on this. I want to read.
Yeah.
I want to read these last two, and then I have a take on this.
Yeah.
So biggest trades in hockey the last 5 decades actually just happened recently, and yeah, they play with emotion. They play through injuries, unlike the prima donna NBA players. LeBron James couldn't even suit up for the All-Star picture, but made sure he was All-Star pictures, but made sure he was in the pick. Did you see that picture going around of like all the players in their uniforms and LeBron James just like in a suit or whatever? Like,
That's so LeBron,
That
man.
was
Oh,
crazy.
it's all about the cameras, dude, as Brandon Hagel would say.
yeah, y'all ain't fun to watch. And then Kevin Durant says, man, stop. Y'all just like that you may see a fight. And then the last one, already made that decision and you're spot on. Hockey players care. They're flying around on skates. They're more physical, more skilled, don't need weeks off for a hangnail or a bruised ego. They actually care about their product and their fans. NBA is effing garbage now. And then Kevin Durant replies and says, enjoy, brother.
Wow, jeez. McKD's we had an epiphany over there, man. Absolute cinema.
So you know what? Like, and I will say this: like, KD loves basketball. Like, he is definitely one of the guys that like really does love the sport of basketball. So, I think he enjoys this. Now, I have a couple of takes. Panelists in the NBA. I forgot who I heard talking about this, but I heard somebody talking about this. Like, the panelists in the NBA, like the old heads that talk about basketball. Like they're always slamming on it too. You know what I mean? Like they're always slamming on these guys, like saying, oh, it's not like the way it was. It's not like the way it was. Where like you hear NHL people talk about hockey, like old NHL
They're always
players
praising it, right?
and they're always like, I could never do that stuff. Like Connor McDavid is the best basketball player, Jeez, don't clip that. Connor McDavid is the best hockey player to ever play the sport,
And Gretzky's admitted, like he said in this game, he'd probably be like a fourth line guy. He would not be able to dominate the game. And pretty much anybody from this era in today's game, you could put in the 80s game and dominate in his vision. Yeah.
Yeah, and I get it. Like a lot of like the 3-point shooting stuff has like kind of killed the basketball and like the aggression of it and any sort of physical play and tactical stuff, because players figured out like, hey, guess what?
It's not a physical game anymore.
But like they also
they
figured
call
out
penalties
like,
for everything. Yeah.
3 points are worth more than 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
Steph. Yeah.
Like if I can get 3 points instead of 2, like yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. And they figured it out. And they actually had, I don't know if you saw this tweet from Anthony Edwards being like they should lower the rims. Which is super
really
funny.
Oh my goodness.
Which is super funny because that's what like haters would say about the WNBA when they would talk, oh, lower the rims so they can dunk, and then you have Anthony Edwards saying that they should lower the rims in the NBA too. Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, that's why I watch college ball over NBA, because college ball still somewhat resembles what the game of basketball, in my opinion, should be, and what the NBA was back in the day during the MJ glory days. So, but today's game, it just I don't have any interest in it. Anytime I even attempt to watch the NBA, I can't. It's just it doesn't do it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I just I think the NBA is kind of a joke, like they it is a lot of like this like the like I want players to have rights. Like, you know what I mean? Like when we're talking about like players versus teams, like I will always fight for the players over the teams, right? Because what are we really going to like sit here and argue over like trying to like make things better for the billionaire owners? Like, no, you know what? I'm good,
No.
actually.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you know what? Like, no, those guys are actually probably pretty corrupt and like, but I'm just saying that like when you also let the inmates run the asylum, like you're going to get stuff like not having loyalty to the teams and the markets and like the trading of the draft capital in the NBA. Like I know NHL teams tend to value their draft picks more, but it's such a joke. Like you're trading like 20, 35 draft picks, like the Lakers don't have a first round draft pick until 2033. What are we doing? Like I don't know. It just it doesn't make sense to me. Like, and people should turn to hockey. Honestly, I know Kevin Durant's like kind of kidding, but you know,
He has a point though. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a point in there. Yeah, for sure. I think this is a completely different point here. This is a different sport, but like it always pisses me off. I may have already brought this up, but like in the Super Bowl, it pisses me off that the owners get the Vince Lombardi trophy first.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's everything wrong with with pro sports. Like in hockey, no, it's the Gary Bettman to his credit. Like he always hands it off to the captain first, and then they pass it around. Every player gets it, and that's how it's done before any owner gets it. Like that's the way it should be. The players fight for the trophies. Like they should get the honors first. That's a totally different point. But I think just another difference between the culture change in hockey compared to other sports, like with NBA, for example. I just think they care more. Like I don't think it's crazy to say that. Like there's just it means more.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's funny what happens when you have players that actually care. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly. We're seeing it in this tournament.
Yeah, the product is more entertaining.
Yeah.
You know, and football players care. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I'm not saying they don't. Yeah, of course they do.
You know, baseball's kind of tough because you play so many games, and you know, you may have guys that like take a couple days off, and you know what I'm saying. But like the NBA is like it's the most noticeable. You know what I mean? When you're like doing this and like having like it's just really noticeable. So yeah, I don't really have anything else about that. I just, you know, I think it's super funny. You know, also like you have Draymond Green on the TNT broadcast, like slamming the All-Star. Did you see any of that? Like Draymond Green just saying like, this is terrible. Like, you know, if an NHL player did that, like
they would not have the balls to say they get fined oblivion.
Yeah,
no.
and, like they wouldn't be allowed back on whatever broadcast that they were on. Like,
yeah, no.
You know, the NHL would make sure of that. You know, so at least you know, respect to the guys. You know, for like calling out. Yeah. Like at least respect to them for that. I just like. You know, I think the entitlement in the NBA is like off the charts. Lee made a good point yesterday when we were sort of talking about
the PK Subban stuff. We brought up some good points there. Yeah, on his panel. Yeah,
like when you're making when you're making $50 million to play basketball, like I can see how it gets to your head a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but they kind of forget about the game at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, and also just like it's the culture of hockey versus some of these sports. You know. Yeah, I don't know. It is like, you know, you know, this is my last thought on this, that it's like, you know, when you have the old guys in the NBA being like, oh, well, it's not like it used to be, you know what I mean? You're just alienating the current guys more from playing that way. You know what I mean? Like hockey players today want to play like it's 1980. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they
want for sure.
But like
they embrace the physicality and all that.
Yes. You know, but you're alienating guys from ever being like, oh, like, yeah, I want things to be like 1985, you know what I mean? Or 1990. It's like the NBA guys are like, no, it's 2025. Like, I'm going to pull up from this logo 3 and you know what I mean? Like, you know, everybody's going to whatever, lose it. I don't know.
I feel like that's another thing too. I feel like the NHL has struck the perfect balance between we got these skilled players coming in. The game is a lot more. There's more talent in the game now, more goals, etc., more plays being made, more highlights. But it's like it hasn't taken away from the core of the game, right? The physical elements and the hitting and the fighting. It's still there. Like it's still the same game, but different. But I think the balance has been struck perfectly. I think that's a big part of why the NHL product is so much more superior. And I think people are finally starting to see it here. And it might be a long, gradual process, but I don't think it's completely unrealistic to, you know, siphon off some of that NBA crowd over time here. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what's going on Instagram today, but I've seen like 3 or 4 different pictures of players in other sports having like nasty broken nose injuries. And I just like, it's so gross. I can't even, Like,
well, in hockey, they play through it. That's another thing in hockey. It's like if you're hurt, you play through it. You know, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. I think PK Subban brought that up. I think we played the clip on the last show. Yeah, I rewatched it, and that just fired me up, man. Like he just like, damn right, man. Everything he said there was like just makes me proud to be a hockey fan. It's like this has been a great little couple weeks here for the sport for sure. Yeah.
All right, should we take a break?
For sure. Yeah.
All right, more Four Nations talk on the other side. Chicago Hockey Radio, keep it here. You're watching and listening to Chicago Hockey Radio, brought to you by the Alithio Network. Justin Lynch, Tassos Kirkos, and producer Raven Gasser, as always, bringing it to you live. NHL Hour of Chicago Hockey Radio, Four Nations Face-Off Edition. Final tomorrow. We have quite a bit of news, notes, updates here, thoughts, musings, speculation. Anything else you'd like to add here? I don't know.
I think just anticipation, excitement. Like, I was just thinking about this. Like, is this the most excited you've ever been for a hockey game in your life? It's got to be up there. Like, this game tomorrow, USA, Canada, Four Nations. Like, I can't remember this time I've been this anticipated for a hockey game. This is just amped up, ready to go. Like, I think it might be the biggest game ever for USA hockey, honestly. I don't know if that's crazy to say. Like, they finally caught up. That's the narrative. Well, it's time to prove it. You know, you got an opportunity right here. You don't win this game tomorrow, that Saturday win means absolutely nothing. We're never going to hear the end of it from Canadians, too. So I think you're playing with everything on the line here at home ice, too, in Boston. Let's not see a 2010 repeat. Help me God. But, yeah, I'm just so ready to go for this game, man.
Yeah, I would say this is, you know, we'll see how I feel tomorrow morning. You know what I mean? Like, right now, I'm just, like, sort of, you know, business as usual. You know, it's just like another day, another hockey game, you know. You know, I won't lie. Like, I get more like with the Greek hockey stuff that I do right on the side here. You know, like I get more amped up for those games, right? Because I'm like a part of the team and like it's my team, right? And you know, so I definitely like it's a different kind of emotion, right? But I am like, as far as like watching a hockey game as an observer, this is probably the most amped up I've been. You know, I've been amped up for like a lot of like the Game 7 Leaf games, right? And like some of that stuff. But I think, you know, Jeff Merrick likes to call, and I love this way of thinking of it. He always references like capital H hockey. You know what I mean? When talking about hockey as a whole, you know what I mean? The sport, the game, you know, not just like the NHL or, you know what I mean? Like capital H hockey. And I think this is probably one of the more important games for capital H hockey that we've seen in a long time. And so for that, I'm really excited, you know, and you think about it, and between what's going on this week with the Four Nations, like last year's Stanley Cup final with like the best player in the world, you know, coming back from an 0-3 deficit, losing in Game 7, winning the Conn Smythe, you know, like the NHL is like hockey and capital H hockey in general is like kind of on a generational run here.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's
you know?
we're on the rise here. This is the time here to produce and take advantage of for sure.
Yeah. So I am excited. I am very excited. You know, I also like, you know, as an American, but also somebody who has like deep ties to Canada. I know you guys call me a Canadian agent or whatever, you know, but I do root for USA hockey. You know, I am, you know, I don't think enough people talk about the fact that the United States hasn't won the world championship since 1960. You know, like that to me is absolutely bonkers. You know, and I know the world championship matters more to the European countries than it does to.
And a lot of times happens during the playoffs, so a lot of their best players aren't there, but they can still send good ones.
They can still send good ones.
Yeah.
You know, Canada. It hasn't been since 1960 that Canada won the. You know, that Canada won the world championship.
And
right?
U.S. hasn't won an Olympic gold medal since the Miracle on Ice in 1980. The last time they won any gold medal on the international stage, best men's hockey, was the 1996 World Cup of Hockey, almost 30 years ago. Like the junior stage, the results have been coming, right? They've been winning on the junior stage. It has happened on the men's stage, yeah. Big part of why is because we haven't really had it the last decade. But now that it's back, it's time to start proving himself and show that we have caught up, right?
Yeah.
And start closing the gap because Canada has 37 gold medals in their existence. A lot of those are also when, you know, they were the only players in the NHL were Canadian, but still, you know, they've won.
Yeah, no, and I don't disagree with you saying that this is maybe the biggest game for USA hockey ever. Like,
I think it is. Yeah, at least since 2010. Yeah.
But even before then, you know, I mean, I'd have to look back at the 2010 roster, you know, but like 1980 was like, it was what it was. It was a miracle. You know what I mean? They were never supposed to be there.
We're not underdogs here.
Like, this isn't that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no,
this
it's different.
the most developed it's ever been. You have Mike Eruzione from 1980 literally saying this is the best Team USA ever. You know, like
Yeah.
there are expectations here. There's a weight. There are like, if the US loses tomorrow, like this is a footnote for a lot of those people that are so interested right now, like the regular sports people.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna evaporate a little bit for casual
Yeah.
fans. Yeah, it's like, oh shit, we just got embarrassed by Canada. Like, yeah, it's not gonna be a good look on home ice too. Yeah.
Yeah, and then those like casuals are not even like, they're not even casuals. They're like they're gonna be like, oh well, you know, because I think if you were to like go up to somebody and say like, oh, like let's play a word association game, like I'm gonna say one thing and you tell me what comes to your mind immediately, and then you give them the word hockey, a lot of them will probably say Canada. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna say Austin Matthews or Matthew Tkachuk or you know what I mean? Like they're gonna say Canada because it is their game. Like it's not, you know what I mean? But it is like, that's part of
It's still their
culture.
sport. They're still the top dogs. I can acknowledge that. It's time to start taking that away.
Yeah, well, like it's part of their culture. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the kids grow up playing hockey. Like kids in Canada grow up playing hockey. They grow up watching hockey. It's hockey night in Canada. This, that, and the
That's all it is. I mean, there's other things in Canada. I know, like they like lacrosse and curling and other things, but like hockey is like the main sport in Canada. US, like we have plenty of other things that we're interested in, right? Hockey's more of a side hustle, so it's just not the same for that aspect.
Dude, you go to like, I go to Canada sometimes in the summer, and you'll like I'll flip on the sports talk radio in the car, you know, just like listening to the radio. They're talking about hockey in the middle of July. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah.
but it's just like the way it is there. And, you know, if you win tomorrow for USA Hockey, you've proven a couple of things. One, yes, like this is the golden generation. This is the like, you know, and I asked Lee and you this yesterday. It's like, oh, it's gold or bust next year at the Olympics, right?
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't want no more excuses. I mean, that's going to mark 3 decades since the World Cup of Hockey, 46 years since the Miracle on Ice. Like, no, like I think 26. Like you could argue. I think we've even seen this Four Nations tournament. You could argue we have the best team. You know, Canada maybe have something to say for that, but like we're at least even. Like we're on the same playing field here. So I would definitely say 26 is a must win. I wouldn't be happy with another silver or God forbid not even medaling. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bronze. Who cares about bronze? Nobody cares.
Gosh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the thing about a bronze medal, though, I mean, this is just like whatever, but, you know, at least you won your last game as opposed to lose. You know, sometimes bronze feels better than silver because you won your last game as opposed to
that's
losing
fair.
your last game, you know?
Yeah. Just sometimes when you watch those games, though, it's like this isn't the game, right? There's just a noticeable drop in, I guess, intensity and just the meaning of the game. But you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Quick reminder, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, and leave a 5-star rating and review, however you are watching or listening. Let's see what we got here. What else we got? So practice today, Brady Tkachuk is absent from Team USA practice. However, Matthew Tkachuk and Austin Matthews are on the ice, or were on the ice for Team USA's practice today in Boston. We have an update on Charlie McAvoy. I want to read the statement from the Boston Bruins and their team doctor. Let me find this here. Sorry, filibuster. Boston Bruins. So this is the statement from Bruins head team physician, Dr. Peter Asnes. Charlie McAvoy sustained an injury to his right shoulder. That's a crazy word. I've never
You don't
seen
have
that
to
word.
say it.
Acromyoclavicular. That's a crazy word.
That's the
Okay.
first I've ever heard that word.
Okay, I'm going to start over and try and nail this. Charlie McAvoy sustained an injury to his right shoulder acromyoclavicular joint in Team USA's four-nation face-off game against Finland on February 13th. He underwent treatment, which was administered by Team USA's medical staff. Upon returning to Boston, he had developed increasing pain, for which he was evaluated by the Boston Bruins medical staff. After undergoing x-rays, MRIs, and blood work, he was diagnosed as having an infection in his right shoulder, as well as a significant injury to his AC joint. He underwent an irrigation and debridement procedure at Massachusetts General Hospital on February 18th. He remains in the hospital where he is being treated with IV antibiotics, and his condition is improving. That's really scary, dude.
So it's really the infection that's like why he's out at this point.
Yeah.
That was left untreated. That's wild. How does that even happen?
I don't even know, but like That's some serious stuff, man. Like you could
no.
you could lose your arm that way. You know what I
Shit,
mean?
if I were the Bruins, I'd be pretty pissed off right now.
Well, apparently they are. Apparently, I want to read.
Well, Don
this.
Sweeney's the GM of the team, so it's like you think they would have been all over that. Huh.
Yeah, I want to read this tweet from Greg Wyshynski here. Okay.
I guess he's the Canada team, I bet.
Let me see here. I can't find it. Yeah, no, I don't know. I guess Greg Wyshynski had a tweet or something that said that apparently the Boston Bruins are not too happy with how this injury was handled.
I would imagine,
USA
yeah.
Hockey.
I'm sure they're just thrilled with how it's. What's the timeline then? Is it like week to week here, or yeah?
Yes, the timeline is currently week to week, although
Okay.
week to week
Yeah.
is so ambiguous. You know, week to
Yeah,
week
that could mean anything. Yeah,
It can be 2 weeks.
Could
It
be weeks
could
to
be 4
weeks.
weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
weeks to weeks. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. But the procedure was done to clean out the infection. You know, I mean, like I said, that's really scary stuff, man. Like that's not
Yeah.
a joke, you know?
no, not at all. No, it's a shame too, man. It's a you don't want to lose anybody, but losing McAvoy like that, it's a tough player to lose in a game like this for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Thursday's Four Nations face-off final will be the 5th Canada versus USA head-to-head in a championship or a gold medal game at an NHL tournament or Olympics, and will come 8 days shy of the 15th anniversary of the last such contest, which obviously was the 2010 Winter Olympics. I think we all know how that one ended. Haha.
Crosby, the golden goal. Oh, if I hear that again, I'm gonna lose it, man.
Yeah. People forget about that, but like,
US tied that game late. Like,
Yeah.
that was a hell of a game. Yeah.
like that was, yeah.
Was
the
it a Cater or no? Was it? I think Cater had the shot at Parise had the goal, maybe.
Yeah, it was that Parise
that's it.
scored.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Canada has won 3 of the 4 previous meetings, including both one-game championship showdowns. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, this is going to be crazy. There also just like some numbers came out from the game Saturday's electric matchup between USA and Canada at the Four Nations garnered 10.1 million viewers across North America, up
Jeez.
203% from the Canada versus USA game at the 2016 World Cup of Hockey, and topping any non-Stanley Cup final game since 2014. That's incredible. That's incredible.
That is wild. I'm gonna make a wild guess that 2014 game was one of those Hawks Kings playoff games because that series was something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I brought this up before. Definitely the most excited I've been for hockey games since those old Blackhawks Stanley Cup runs. But I was a kid. I wasn't really in the know, right? I understand the game the way I do now. Like adult, mature version of me. Like this is the most amped up I've been for a game. I want to see a 96 World Cup type of those are the vibes that I'm getting from this game, hopefully. That's the only time we've really beaten Canada this type of stage. So it'd be nice to be able to rekindle history there. There was a certain Tkachuk that was on that team as well. And now we got 2 of them. Hopefully Brady, plays tomorrow. I assume that's just precautionary. I assume he's expected to be in the lineup tomorrow. And hopefully they're both 100% too, and they're not banged up. Like these guys that have been taking rest days, like hope we need them at their best, right? So we'll see what happens there. But besides McAvoy, it's just Hughes that's out, right? Yeah.
Everybody's chirping me for not being able to pronounce that word in the chat. That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, like these people in chat will be able to pronounce it.
I don't think they're chirping you. I think they're trying to figure it out themselves too.
I never even heard of this like muscle until today. Are we sure that is a real?
It's an AC joint. You may have heard of it like that. You know what I mean?
I just hear AC. I don't hear the actual full
Full name of it.
Yeah, no. Clearly, I'm not really up to speed on the human anatomy and stuff like that. I have a friend who does that stuff. He's like a sports like therapy type thing. So he would be able to tell me all about it. He's probably upset at me for not knowing it, but like I don't know, not my thing.
I am trying to think here. Let's see what else we got here. What else? Oh, the NHL is releasing a 2-part documentary about the event. It's called Four Nations Face Off Unveiled. The first part will be airing tonight on Sportsnet in Canada and NHL Network in the US at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. I won't be able to watch it because I don't have the NHL Network. So, I don't know how. Are you going to be able to watch it?
Potentially. Hopefully the U.S. trounced them. We get another viral McDavid clip of him in the locker room after the game. That's not good enough. It's the finals.
Yeah,
that would feed families.
I mean, obviously it won't like have tomorrow's. You know what I mean? Like it'll be up until. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it'll be up until. You know what I mean? Like how quickly were you able to put this together? Like.
This kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, who knows how good that's going to be? Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when did you stop filming on Monday night, and then you spent the last like day and a half like editing this documentary of
I want
something
to
that?
see the whole tournament covered. Like, why would there not be a part of it about? Yeah, like
Well,
the
I
game
think it's a
tomorrow. Yeah.
two-part. It's a two-part
Oh,
thing.
my bad.
So the
Okay.
second
Okay.
part will probably be after tomorrow. You know,
Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that looks like. Yeah, I'm sure. Definitely be watching that for sure.
to release a documentary about something as it's going on is pretty goofy. But
Yeah, I know it is interesting. Yeah, well, they did something like that too for like the Winter Classic series. They always do like they released the last part of it like while the game or like right before the game. It's like if you're at the game, you can't even watch it. Like that's kind of stupid. Just kind of random, but yeah.
yes. Ooh, quick Blackhawks note. Do you want a couple of quick Blackhawks notes from practice right now?
Yeah, I think I did see that the lines are I think they're pretty much the same from when they left off. What else do you got there?
Slaggert, Bedard, Donato. Then you have Slaggert, Mazar, Mikheyev, but Slaggert on the
He's a
second line is a
placeholder,
placeholder
yeah.
for Teravainen.
Yeah.
Kurashev, Foligno, Bertuzzi, Maroon, Reichel, Smith.
Ugh.
The D pairs, Martinez, Jones, Vlasic, Murphy, Brody, Crevier. And Louis Crevier was wearing a regular jersey at practice today. He was in a green no contact jersey yesterday, so that's good news.
Definitely sounds like he'll be playing this weekend, yeah, potentially.
The extras are Nolan Allen and Ethan Delmastro.
So we have 8 defensemen on the roster right now and 12 forwards.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Well, I guess yeah, no, that's interesting, huh? I would think one of those guys now that Crevier is probably going to be activated. I would imagine one of those guys probably don't matter. Well, they just called up Delmastro though, so like I don't know. You'd think one of them is going to get sent down, and maybe they get Docker back up here. That's just me speculating. Probably not. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You'd imagine.
Yeah. Because why would you have like 12 forward? I don't know. Normally you want 13-7. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just like reading everybody telling me how this is pronounced. That's crazy. Everybody needs to figure it out. Okay. So the only other thing I had really, I mean, like, you know, we've kind of teed up this game a lot. We kind of know what it means.
Teed up
to
more.
both
Yeah.
sides.
Let's get really into this. The weeds, the storylines. There's so much.
So the NHL had an article that was 10 questions going into the game. So I jotted them down, just the questions part of it, obviously not the answers to it.
I may have added some stuff in there. My bad.
Yeah. So I wrote down the 10 questions from the game. So or for the game that the NHL.com had. So I figured we could just like bounce through these a little bit and see what we have. The only other NHL news right now, Thatcher Demko is out week to week for the Vancouver Canucks. That's a tough one for them as they hunt down a playoff spot. They are going on a 5-game road trip that starts in Columbus, I think, and he will not be there. So, and remember their other goalie, Kevin Lankinen, was at the Four Nations for Finland.
That's right. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'd assume, or they have Artur Silovs up with the team, but like I'd imagine they'll probably even need him to play. You know,
Hughes returning before Demko. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's tough. And yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's kind of it as far as hockey news goes. Pretty slow day as teams are getting right back into
these
it.
questions.
Let's do these questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Are injuries going to impact the USA?
Well, I mean, we've already seen them without Hughes, so it's like if he's out once again, it's like that doesn't really change. Like it's been that way for this tournament. But for me, I'm just curious to see how the Tkachuk brothers look. Like, are they 100%? Are they clearly playing through something? I think Matthews was totally precautionary. Like I maybe he's still dealing with some upper body stuff there, but that was definitely more of a precautionary thing. McAvoy's out. But like other than that, like is there really anybody else on his team? Am I missing anybody here? It was those guys that have been affected by injuries. Like that's just so like I think otherwise, I think we're pretty much fully healthy here. So I would hope that the answer is no. Hopefully Brady's the one guy there. It's like the fact that he's missing practice today. That's a little worrisome. In fact, because Matthews in and Matthews is in as well. Matthew and Matthews. That's a word jumbo there. But
Matthews.
Yeah, hopefully Brady's all good to go because I do think just like Saturday, like this game, like if we're gonna win it, it's gonna run through the Bash Bros. Like we need them at their best. Yeah.
Yeah. The holding out of Brady today, I'd imagine, is more like the Ottawa Senators being like, yeah, maybe don't skate him today. Maybe give him the day off just to get ready.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And maybe that's just USA Hockey feeling that way. I don't think that the injuries are going to be impacting Team USA. And to be honest with you, like, I think it's all a wash. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think
It's more arresting these guys who were banged up, right? I don't think much of these guys are really actually hurt right now, if that makes sense. Yeah.
and I'd say probably the guy on the other side, like, it was something we haven't talked about since before the tournament when I made my incorrect prediction that he wasn't going to play. Like, Sidney Crosby is clearly playing hurt here. Like, he's not that goal. Like, he had 2 shots on goal in the game against Finland. He had one where he stuffed it right into the pads, and then he had the shot where he scored on the empty netter, right? Those were
He's just been dishing, though.
Those were his only 2 shots of the tournament so far.
Yeah, well, he is doing something upper body, so it's probably why he's not shooting the puck right now. But I mean, if he can still dish, then
I think it's a wrist thing.
If he can still dish, like I said, I think he's still been impactful despite playing hurt. I'm sure Lee would disagree, probably, but yeah, I mean, I think he's been still a good
not
player.
That I never do agree with Lee, but you know, like, if guys out there in the U.S. know that you're not going to shoot
target him.
Well, not just that, but like, if they know you're not going to shoot the puck, you know what I mean?
They take the pass every time.
Like like they know, like, that's not a liability. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say Sidney Crosby's a liability, but you know, you're not as effective if they know that you can't shoot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't like this right now. We've started bashing Crosby. This is not gonna. No, we got to stop doing this. It's not gonna age well. I'm so used to him owning the U.S. at international level. I don't want to see it again. No golden goal. No.
Yeah. Geez, they're gonna have. Sidney Crosby's gonna have like 8 shots on goal and a hat trick now tomorrow. And just...
he's gonna take it personally, dude. Oh no, we can't manifest this.
No. But I just, I think it's I think the Charlie McAvoy thing is really going to hurt the U.S.
Yes.
He was so effective against Canada on Saturday.
Maybe their most effective defenseman. I think Slavin too. Like, he's been kind of underappreciated. We kind of teed that up, but if Hughes was able to come in, I think that would definitely cancel that out. But it's seeming more and more likely, unfortunately, that it's not going to happen. But we'll see. There's still a lot of time here, right?
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And by the way, Hockey Canada has, Team Canada said that they'd be okay with it, by the way. So for all those, Canadian fans who'd be complaining and whining about it, that just throw it out there. The team's okay with it. That's what they said. So,
yeah. What else? Okay, question number 2. Does Canada have an answer for the Kachucks? No.
Oh yeah, no. I think it became pretty clear when they dressed Sam Bennett on Saturday to try to go up. That didn't go so well. So, and Tom Wilson isn't there to save them, as they would say. So yeah, I don't really think they do. I think for them, it's like you're going to win the game through your top end, right? Through guys like McDavid and McKinnon, etc. It's like you're not going to like when it comes to the physical game, you're not going to match up against the U.S. I think they did their best from that aspect against Saturday, but you're not going to out hit them. You're not going to have that same effect. So I think you got to win the game through your skill and your talent.
Although
in the power play,
I do have this Brandon Hagel clip. Raven, can we play that one? It's the second clip I sent.
Is that the flag clip or the group chat thing? Yeah.
From your side and their side. No, I think it's going to be the same way. I think it's 2 countries. I mean, listen, what happened the other night, I think I did it for the flag and not for the cameras.
That's an awesome clip. Like,
it is. Even though he's dogging us, like, I can't help but love Brandon Hagel. I definitely miss him. In Blackhawk land, but there are a lot of people who are saying, oh, it's like he'd be the perfect guy for Bedard, but it's like, dude, like, we wouldn't have Bedard if we had kept Hagel. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him as Hawks team. I think it'd be great for him, but it's like, it doesn't really work like that. You can't have it both ways. But yeah, I do think some of us are towards there. I think this U.S. team plays for the flag too. I don't think it's just for the cameras. I don't know what he's really saying there. And it's like, I think Matthew DeChuck clapped back. Well, I guess you're not in many group chats over there. So I don't know. That was kind of funny though.
All right. Question number 3. Will there be a similar start to Saturday?
I mean, probably. I'm gonna go on a limb and say yeah. I would say Thursday's game probably does start. I don't know if it's gonna be 3 fights in 9 seconds, but you'd be hard pressed to think maybe everybody out there is fighting at once. I don't know, just one big fight with everybody on the ice. Maybe I'm wrong there, but you have to think there's another answer there, a response probably. I would think that's gonna be another physical game, or maybe not. Maybe it is more about just finding the goals and the skill. Maybe it is less. We'll see less fighting. I don't think so. The championship game, no. Like it's going to be intense.
Yeah. I am also going to say no. but I just so like a lot of people were like, oh,
you're saying no.
I'm saying no. It will not have a similar start to
Oh,
Saturday.
I think it will.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
A lot of people on Saturday were like, oh, this feels like a game 7. This feels like a game 7. How many game 7s have you watched that have 3 fights in them? None, right?
Yeah, I mean, but they said that for the Saturday game, and that they fought like it wasn't a game 7 game. But you think they'll actually treat this?
But do you know what it was like then? It wasn't like a game 7. It was like a game 1. You know what I mean? Like where it's really physical, you're feeling each other out, you're trying to set the tone. Like it was a game 1. It wasn't a game 7.
You think this game's gonna be all business? Like it's about the game, not the extravagance, not the show.
Yes.
You do wonder if a part of it, I hate to say this, but you do wonder if a part of that Saturday thing. Well, I mean, a part of it was kind of, staged a little bit because they were in the group chat saying planning this whole thing. So maybe a part of it was for the show to get them in the game, and then they started playing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think tomorrow's going to be like a game 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's really tight. It's physical, but you don't want to be the guy and I don't agree with this at all, but I don't know if you remember on the third fight, like JT Miller got an extra penalty on top of that. You remember that?
He punched himself at one point in the fight. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. But he also got an extra 2 minutes. He got an instigator for that.
They gave him a power play. You don't want to give them anything there. If you're instigating,
no
they catch that.
Way.
Especially that Canadian power play. I don't want to give them any time. I mean, they're going to get their looks. But there's something we said, too. It's like, yeah, when the Chuck brothers are fighting, that's great. But then you're without the Chuck brothers for 5 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like you're taking yourself out of the game. So maybe not to start the game, but I'd be surprised if there wasn't a fight at some point in the game, like maybe or a brawl or something. It's going to be, crazy, I'm sure. But maybe not Saturday crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there could be a fight, especially if the game gets out of hand one way or the other, or somebody lays a really big
doesn't
hit.
take
I
much.
can see it, but
there's been so much yapping by these players. Like that's what makes me think there's going to be another fight in this game. It feels like there's a lot of unfinished business here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just think maybe we see one fight, but I don't think it'll be like 3 back to back to back. You know what I'm saying?
More about the game. Yeah.
All right, next question. How will Connor Hellebuck play?
I'm not concerned about Hellebuck. I have full confidence in him. Like he's been, you could argue he's been, USA's most, valuable, important player in this tournament. I think Saturday's game, big part of it, did come through the goaltending. And I think if USA is going to win again, goaltending is going to be the storyline again. So I feel much more confident of Connor in that compared to Jordan Binnington, which is the next question here. If we're answering how Jordan Binnington is going to play, I know it's in TD Garden. I'm sure they're thinking, oh, it's going to be a 2019. He's going to, rekindle his clutch performance there. I'm watching Binnington this tournament, man. He's been so shaky. Like if I'm a Canadian fan, especially the way that Finland game ended, like I wouldn't have any confidence in Jordan Binnington.
Yeah, that is the next question. Yeah, okay. So Hellebuck, if Canada gets more traffic to the net, I might worry a little bit about Connor Hellebuck. I have. Like, look, I'm not going to complain about a guy that's only allowed 2 goals in 2 games, but I won't lie. There are moments where, like, he's looked a little shaky. Like, he looks like he's not tracking the puck super well. He looks like, that sometimes he doesn't really see where the shot is until it, like, hits him, kind of. Like, I'm not saying that, this is the best goalie in the world we're talking about. I'm just saying that, like, I think sometimes the moment gets to him. Like we've seen it with the past playoff performance. Like he's been awful in the playoffs.
This is kind of a big storyline, like legacy game. This is a legacy game for Kyle Hellebuck because he hasn't really had his big, like for as great of his career as he had. You look at his stats, his win totals, and all that. It's great, but like he hasn't really had like that big win in his career. Like I'm talking playoff style. Most time with the Jets, it's a first and second round exits. I think he's been to 1 conference final, and he hasn't done anything obviously because we haven't seen hockey in their national state. So he hasn't really had a big, championship clutch performance yet in his career. Like, this is his time to really, show up and prove to the Jets that he can get done come playoff time. Right?
Yeah. All right. Next, how will Jordan Binnington play?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't really shown any like reason this tournament for me to believe in him. As if I'm a Canadian fan, I'm not feeling pretty good. Like at this point, you gotta ride him. Like you've played him all 3 games. You're not gonna go to Mount or Hill, so it's kind of just gotta stick this out. He's had his moments. He's had his clutch saves from time to time, but he's let in way too many softies in this tournament for me to think he's just gonna suddenly figure it out tomorrow. So yeah, I wouldn't feel pretty good about Binnington in that.
No, I'd feel terrible about him in that. Like, I'd feel honestly just. If I were a Canadian waking up tomorrow morning, I would have a sinking feeling in my gut only because of who's between the pipes. I get it. This guy has like a dog mentality. And, I always remember the clip from his rookie year when they're on the run. And it's like, do I look nervous? Like
he's looked nervous in this tournament.
yeah. And it's just like, man, that Jake Gensel goal, and I said it yesterday and I will say it again, it sucked all the momentum out of the Bell Center after Connor McDavid scores one of the most ridiculous goals of his life.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like when Canada won the Olympics in 2014, Carey Price was unbeatable. Like
he won them games. Yeah. And they don't have that anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and you just like can't afford to let in a softie. You know what I mean? And he has.
Price was at that game too. They should have got him in the game. Yeah.
Honestly, he might have been just as good. Like, dude, if you were ranking Canadian goalies in the NHL, like, I don't know that Jordan Binnington.
Top 5.
I don't think he's in the top 6. Like, if you were to build 2 team Canadas, like. I got Logan Thompson, I got Mackenzie Blackwood, I got Cam Talbot. Darcy Kemper has been unbelievable this season.
Maybe Hill in there.
I put Hill above Jordan Binnington.
Yeah.
Of course.
Maybe not Montembeau.
Montembeau's like having him.
He sucks.
They should cut him if they had the chance. Like I would cut him from the team. Like I'm trying to think who else. Even like Joel Hofer, his backup in St. Louis.
Yeah, even the fact that we're having this discussion right now, like what the hell has happened to goaltending in Canada? I think somebody, I can't remember who said this, but like somebody like made a joke on X or something. It's like all these Canadian kids grew up wanting to be Sidney Crosby, like they nobody wanted to be a goaltender in Canada land, I guess. I don't know.
But it's also like not true though, because all the best statistical goaltending leaders in the NHL right now, a lot of them are Canadian. Like Logan Thompson and Blackwood. Like you just brought the wrong dudes.
Yeah, you're right. But like they also play on pretty damn good teams. But you're right.
Yeah, no, they play on good teams. I'm just saying that like it's not like.
But even the best Canadian goalies in the NHL now, like they just don't match up against the U.S. and the Russian guys, etc.
I'd even go so far to say is a 40-year-old Marc-Andre Fleury starting tomorrow would be better for Team Canada.
Dude, that would be a legacy, like one last dance. That'd be kind of cool, actually, just for the storylines. And Fleury does have his moments. I don't know.
Yeah.
Although he's also had a lot of iffy playoff moments too in his career. That to be fair.
Yeah, but then he won a Vezina after that. Like that was in Pittsburgh. He won a Vezina after that. He took Vegas to the final. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. Like I would take Fleury over Binnington
just
tomorrow.
for the vibes. He's always a fun locker room guy. Yeah. Speaking of locker room, the dynamic there is pretty funny. Who was it there? Was it Thomas Harley who said that the Crosby's like a god man in there? It's like, dude, the glazing is crazy. I haven't even said anything about that about Bedard, dude. Like that's like if I was on, that Hawks, like that's what I'd be saying about him.
Yeah, he was like, oh, you can't look at him for too long or something,
Yeah, I know. It's like, what in the? Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
All right. Next question: can Connor McDavid rise to the occasion?
Yeah. I mean, we saw it. I mean, yeah, it was the first goal, wasn't the winning goal, but it's like, well, McDavid wants to, like, there's nothing you can do to stop him. It doesn't matter what defenseman what comments you put out there. Like when he's on his game, there's nothing you can do about it. So I think with McDavid, like this game, it's gonna run through. It's the obvious thing to say, but it's true. Like this game for Canada is gonna run through him. Like he's got to be, I think, the guy for them. He's got to be the star player. The winning goal, I'd imagine, will probably come on his stick, and Crosby will probably be in the corners there. I hope I didn't just speak that in existence, but yeah, I think he's the guy for them. I think he's shown in his career. I mean, what he's done in the playoffs. I mean, one of the only guys, the first guy in 2 decades to win the Conn Smythe Trophy on the losing team. So. I mean, he hasn't won yet, though, but this is, his moment to kind of
what does rising to the occasion mean? Because clearly, like, he's
risen to the occasion. Yeah.
But, like, he scored a goal on Saturday, and they lost. You know what I mean? Like,
is
that rising to the occasion?
I mean, I'll put that at him, though. I think he did what he could. But I will say, though, after that goal, he did kind of get locked down. But who locked him down was McAvoy, and he's out. So we feel great about that.
So does that mean, like, is it like a 2-goal performance? Is it like a goal and 2 assists? You know what I mean?
I think he's got to have like the big goal, like the difference maker. Not the first goal of the game is great and all, but it's like unless that's the only goal of the game, it's not going to win you the hockey game, right? He's got to have like that late tying goal, that OT moment, or GWG. Like that's what it's got to be, probably. I'd imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see it just because like watching great people be great at what they do is like fun,
It is, yeah, but I'd rather be in the opposite end of it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
But he's used to being in the opposite end of it, so I don't think.
That's what I'm saying too. Like, oh my, and nobody's really been talking about this too, but like, Who did he lose the Stanley Cup final to last year? Not just the Florida
The
Panthers.
Tkachuk, Matthew Tkachuk in the USA.
You know what I mean? Like if he loses
Yeah.
to Matthew Tkachuk again,
that's gonna become a thing. Like,
yeah.
yeah. Tkachuk owns him. Yeah. And it wouldn't shock me if they met again in the Stanley Cup this year. It would not shock me in the slightest.
Nope.
If we saw a rematch. Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah.
All right. Next question. Will we get a signature Sid the Kid moment? These are NHL.com's questions. Remember, keep in mind. Will we get a signature Sid the Kid moment?
If it is, it's probably gonna be an assist. I don't think he's scoring any goals. No, that's gonna age well, but because he hasn't been shooting. But he'll probably be the Ginla in the situation if that's what they're trying to tee up here. 2010. But I'm gonna keep saying it because I feel like if I say it enough, it's actually not gonna happen because like that's all anybody's. If you look at the discussion online, like, that's all Canadian fans are talking about is 2010. The fact that US beat them the prelims and lost in the gold medal game. The list is different, but
I will say that was 15 years ago. So
yeah, too. It was a decade and a half ago. Like that's what you gotta go back to find a comeback. Like that's okay, fair enough. Yeah. But to answer the question, I don't know. I mean, I want to say the one game Crosby's been shut down this tournament was against the US. And he also he was not noticeable at all in the US game. I think he had a pretty bad turnover too that led to one of the goals. So
yep.
Like I don't think this game is gonna run through Sidney Crosby. I don't. Like it's gonna run through Davo, like McKinnon, guys like that. The now. Yeah.
I think okay, first of all, how crazy would it be if Sidney Crosby scored in overtime? Like,
oh my God,
that would be insane. Like, not just like, I don't know, like, not even, I'm not cheering. I'm really not cheering for anybody. I'm really not, I might have
you're probably one of the few people there, like, who are just neutral. Like, I mean, it's probably nice to watch the game that way. Like, I'm going to be stressed the hell out, man.
Yeah. Like, but if Sid, I already think he's a Mount Rushmore player in the sport.
Oh,
I don't think many players. Like, this guy's won the World Juniors. He's a part of the Triple Gold Club. He won the World Championship.
He's won everything there is to win.
Like, he hadn't won the World Champion. Like, he'd won Olympic gold twice. He'd won the Stanley Cup. And then he hadn't won the World Championship yet, which is, like, the last part of the Triple Gold Club. And he just, like, went over there for 2 World Champions. He was like, yeah, I'm going to go over there and win it. And he won it both times. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think... And then they won the World Cup after that and whatever. Nobody has the international resume of Sidney Crosby, and he hasn't worn a Team Canada sweater in almost 10 years.
Can you imagine how much large that resume would be if we've seen it the last 10 years? Well, he doesn't lose in the national level. He's like, what, 26-1 the last 27 games or something? It's crazy.
Imagine if the NHL had gone to South Korea and Beijing, not saying that but I don't know that USA Hockey was in this. Let's even just say Canada won one of those 2 gold medals on the table. You know what I mean? We're talking about, and if they had won both, you know what I mean? Like, this is that's
a dynasty. 2010, 14, 18, 22.
You know what I mean? But then this is one of the best players of all time. Like this, I mean, he already is.
I still think he is, but that's certifies it if it wasn't already.
Yeah. This is, so I think it would be unbelievable. I don't know that we're going to get it quite yet, especially with the wrist injury or the arm injury or whatever it is. But I'm just it would be cool for, not to go back to capital H hockey, but it would be very, very cool.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but yeah, that probably would be his last big moment. I mean, I guess he'll probably be there in 26, but it's just in terms of NHL land, the way a Penguins team's going, if he's going to stick around there, I don't know if he's going to win any more hockey in Pittsburgh. So I think his winning hockey is going to come with Team Canada and international hockey for Crosby to close out his career here. It's not going to come with the Pens.
Yeah. Okay. Is this game as tight as the last one, or will it open up a little bit?
That's a tough one. I mean, look, it's the last game. The logical answer would probably be it's going to be a tight game. But you would think almost it wouldn't be then. It wouldn't surprise if this game just suddenly opened up and it was a barn burner, like a ping pong type of game. But no, I mean, most international games that are a gold medal type of game like this is championship final games tend to be very, very tight. Like Game 7 playoffs. Nobody wants to make that mistake. Nobody wants to be the guy that screws up, right? So probably not taking a ton of risks. So it wouldn't shock me if it's another 2-1 type of game. I know it was 3-1, but that was an empty netter. So, that's a tough one. I'm not really sure. I think it's the unknown for me. That's another thing that's tricky for me going this game. Yeah.
I'm going to zag a little bit. I'm going to say that it will open up a little bit.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The 96 World Cup of Hockey, I think the U.S. was down 2 or 3-0 in that game. And then the final score was 5-3, 6-3.
It's 5-2, but I think 2 of them were empty netters though. Yeah.
No. Hold on. It was 5-2. They hit the empty netter and then they scored another goal after.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
On the
Okay.
goalie.
Yeah, a lot of the goals are late, but you're right.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I could see
Yeah.
it, you know. I'd
like to see a 96 World Cup type of game. That'd be cool with me. Everybody's talking about 2010. Let's talk about 1996.
I think it's going to be really tight to start. And then I think as the game goes on, like, you know, once one team takes a lead a little bit, like you're going to see the other side cheating for offense a little bit, and they might lead to them scoring a goal and the other team getting a couple back. You know what I mean? Like I can see this opening up a little bit.
I like to see it. Like I'd like to see, you know, the opposite of the Saturday game, right? More of an NHL style game. Yeah, that'd be fun for me.
And then this is the last question from NHL.com. What is the impact of Cale Makar?
Yeah, well, that is the X factor. Like that's the one part. Well, besides McAvoy being out, and you know, again, we don't know about Hughes, but like that is the one part of this game that's gonna be different. Is Makar in for Canada? And like that is something that does make me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I think that power play becomes a lot more, you know, powerful when he's there quarterbacking it. So I think for the U.S., do whatever you can to stay out of the box. But yeah, Makar in the lap, you know, it's probably, you could argue, well, the best or second best defenseman in hockey. You know, depending how you look at it. It's a difference maker. He's a huge difference maker. His chemistry with Nathan McKinnon especially, and it does make me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. The fact that he wasn't there Saturday, he's back in the lineup. But it's one player, but it's a little more than that. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure he'll make an impact for sure. Yeah.
I think he's got to have like an outstanding game. Like I'm talking like 3 assist kind of like dominant. Like if Canada's going to win. Like Cale
it's going to run through him. Yeah.
Like it's going to be
on the back end. Yeah.
It's going to be the big dogs. Like Nathan McKinnon has to play well. Connor McDavid has to play well. Cale Makar has to play well.
Yeah. I would say the big 3 there for sure. You're probably right about that. Yeah. Because I would say that was something they were missing in the Saturday game because like they don't really have anybody. They have good defense in there, but nobody like a Cale Makar. So that was something they're definitely missing. Now that he's in the lineup, that somebody can match up against them, the Renskis and the people like that for sure. Especially if the U.S. are without Hughes. Like, that's a big advantage for them. Yeah. That's another thing too. It's like, don't you always want Hughes to play then? Like if you're a candidate, because like there's no asterisk, right? Because Saturday you without Makar, we were without Hughes. Then would be nice if they were both in the lineup for tomorrow's game, make it true best on best. I don't know. I think there's an argument there.
I have a couple more clips here. We'll speed through before because I got a sponsorship meeting here soon in a few minutes, so I got to cut the show short here soon. But I do want to get through some of these clips. Can we hear Quinn Hughes talking, Raven? It's the clip number 3, the both of them.
Yeah, I mean, not to be dramatic, but it was extremely hard. I mean, I think it's been something I've been looking forward to for a long time. And, yeah, I mean, I got to thank Billy Guerin for how patient he was with me, not only, 10 days ago, but even, last night in the last 24 hours. And he understood how much I wanted to play and also what my obligations were to the Canucks. Really what it came down to, I just wasn't healthy enough where I wasn't sure that I could get worse, and I felt like I couldn't, be crawling back to Vancouver at the end of that tournament where now I'm missing more Canucks games. So if there's a positive, I should be ready to go next game against Vegas, but in saying that, if I didn't have to worry about any of that other stuff, I would have been there in a second and been playing with what I got, but I had to look at the big picture a little bit. Yeah.
Are you going to go back east?
I mean, I really want to, and obviously been really hard to watch and want to play, but I guess from what I can understand, the rules are the rules, and the league's done a great job putting this event together. It's been fun to watch, hard for me to watch, but close with a lot of those USA guys and proud of how they've been playing, and the 60 that have been there, of course I want to play, but they've gotten us to the point where we're in a championship game now, and those guys also deserve to play. But in saying that, it's obviously been hard for me, and I'm a competitor, and feel like I want to play and need to be there.
Yeah, Quinn Hughes is such a good dude. Like, honestly, the biggest NHL miss for this whole tournament was not having expanded rosters.
Hughes brothers.
Well, just not allowing IIHF size rosters, because would you think like nobody was going to get hurt over the course of this?
Yeah, it's going to happen, especially the way they've been playing, right? They haven't been treating like an all-star game, so it's like injuries are bound to happen.
Yeah, I just like, what did you think was going to happen? Like everybody was going to play like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it just boggles my mind. And then you could have brought Quinn Hughes instead of needing to replace him. And you know what I mean? Like you could have expanded the route, opened it up a little bit, you know.
It would have solved all these problems and these dilemmas. It's like adding one more forward, one more defenseman. Like there's 3 goalies. Like, that's it. Did they really need 3 goalies if you're going to have these small rosters? Probably only needed 2. So it's like,
Well, if
why
somebody
not?
got hurt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like why not have another forward defenseman as well? I feel like just to make more sense, but something to learn from in the future for sure if they bring back this type of tournament again. Yeah.
Okay. And then
But for Quinn Hughes too, like I'm still waiting for a defenseman there to make a sacrifice for their country. What's taking so long?
oh God, I was gonna say I don't know if we're gonna see that, but like maybe.
I still think it's happening, man. Thursday morning, you wait.
Well, but then he has to get from Vancouver to Boston. You know,
yeah, that's true.
You
Yeah.
know, coming off a plane, like is Quinn Hughes coming off a plane better than Jake? I mean, probably, but
yeah, I think so. I think it doesn't matter as long as Quinn Hughes is there, he could be playing on our. He'd still be better.
All right, we got 2 more clips, so we got to hurry. Look, Raven, I sent you actually one more. It was Matthew Tkachuk's response to Brandon Hagel. Can we hear that?
What's going on? You guys in the roster or what? Well, I mean, maybe their team doesn't like each other. Then if they don't have group chats, but I think that that's just a player enjoying his opportunity. So I think that our team does not care about anything that they say, and there's been a lot of chatter and talk from individuals, but we care about one thing in this room, and we have millions of people that are watching us and supporting us around this country, and we're very prideful in playing for them. So it's an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah, that was kind of a rough clip, but if anybody didn't hear that, the quote is maybe their team doesn't like each other then if they don't have group chats.
I love Matthew Tkachuk, man. He's just such a pest, man. He just loves stirring the pot. I said I think before the tournament, like if for my final MVP guy for the U.S., if they're going to win, it was going to be Matthew Tkachuk. So I do think he's the X factor for the U.S. going to this game tomorrow for sure. I'm sure he'll show up. He always does in the big moments.
And then this was one I wanted to play because it was going around. Probably somebody that should be there representing the United States, in my opinion. Tage Thompson. Could we hear him? That was the first clip I sent you today.
Yeah, it's been great. Been watching all the games. I thought the U.S.-Canada game was awesome. If you're not a hockey fan, that'll instantly get you hooked. And I was sitting there wishing I was there a little bit, and that was probably an unreal atmosphere. And I think everyone's excited for the rematch on Thursday.
Yep. Everybody's excited. And if you are not a hockey fan, that is the way to get you into it. All right. Let's do score predictions for tomorrow before we get out of here. Although these, I will say, are subject to change, and also we don't have Lee's right now. So I don't fault me. Nobody come at me if I end up changing my score prediction before the game starts. And you have the liberty of also changing yours too.
Yeah, so we'll do on the pregame and for the team up the live stream tomorrow. Yeah, I will say for me, I will say a 3-2 win for the U.S. Another narrow edge in regulation, by the way, 3-2 to Chuck, GWG. Tighter, maybe a little more open, but I just think for the U.S., it's the goaltending is the X factor for me. Like, here's the other thing. Binnington, they only scored 2 goals at Binnington the Saturday game. He's let up 3 against Sweden and Finland. There's still more room to expose Jordan Binnington. So I think he'll let in a few softies. Hellebuck will do his thing. The defense will clap up. That was the difference maker. The defense was able to shut them down. So they gotta be able to do that again. But Canada, we'll see what they did with what adjustments these two teams make. I'm sure it'll be a different looking game. But I just think the U.S. for me, narrow edge for them. I hope so at least. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say 5-3 Canada.
Oh boy. I would say I think the US does gotta win this game in regulation. Like if it goes to OT, we're cooked. Like I think Canada OT win. Like that just favors them. So I think it's gotta come in 60 minutes if the US is gonna win for me.
And I saw you added this. Thank you for adding this. By default, one of Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner will walk away a champion for the first time. So I feel good about that.
One of them will choke. Which one will it be? Who's the biggest choker? We will find out.
Also, for everybody, I'm wearing a Blue Jays hat today. Not to do baseball talk at the end of the show, but I am going to rant for 30 seconds about my beloved Blue Jays. Fire Ross Atkins and fire Mark Shapiro for not being able to sign Vladdy Guerrero Jr. before that extension deadline passed. Like, what an absolute joke to not get that done. You absolutely wasted one of the more talented cores that you've had since that electric run with the Jose Bautista bat flip. I cannot,
Bautista for drive.
yeah, like this is the best collection of players, and they've totally just fumbled the bag here. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to walk as a free agent. You should have given him whatever he wanted, and now your sad sack franchise is going to continue to be that for the foreseeable future. And I have zero time with it when you are owned by the media that has limitless amounts of money. So that was my Blue Jays minute. Thank you for letting me rant.
My main takeaway is be thankful you're not a White Sox fan.
This is almost worse, dude. I mean, like, it's not. I understand that it's not worse, but it's like it's pretty close, dude.
This is the worst team in history, man. I don't know.
I would rather just like being like whatever. Reinsdorf just like he doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like,
no, he's a joke.
You know, the Blue Jays ownership group, like they act like they care, and then they put like just pure incompetence in the decision-making seats, and it is running the franchise into the ground. But it's okay because you're getting stadium renovations and tastier hot dogs and whatever, dude. I have no time for it. But all right. Really looking forward to tomorrow. Remember, we are live streaming the game. It will be a ton of fun. Myself, Lee Grossman, Tim Tebow. We will all be there. Sorry,
I'll be in the chat. Yeah.
Justin will be in the chat. You guys will do a pregame on Instagram beforehand. Please, please follow us on Instagram at Chicago Hockey Radio. We're so close to 1,000 followers. Please tell your friends to subscribe to this YouTube channel because
close to 500. Yeah.
If you're in the chat right now and you're listening, you're obviously a CHR diehard, and thanks for sticking with us to the end here without Lee. But you guys tell your friends, obviously, because you guys are all. You guys are all CHR subscribers currently. So tell your friends to do it. Be like, hey, I really like this show. They need more subscribers. Help me help them. You know what I mean? Like that would be great. So I appreciate you all. Justin does too. We all really thank everybody. Thank you to Raven too for crushing it with all the clips that I sent him today. I got a jet. We got a meeting. But we will catch everybody on the live stream tomorrow and show on Friday. Peace out.